I am Carrie, and I am the GM today. The blood that they used on the zombie dogs in Resident Evil was spaghetti.
Adorable.
It was literally spaghetti, because the first blood that they used, they were actually using like prosthetics and stuff, but it was all like chemical stuff, and the dogs were licking it off, and they were like, no, like we can't do that. So they literally just made edible gore so that when the dogs licked it off, it was fine. It was like, okay, whatever. So yeah, that's my fun fact.
I'm Kaz. My pronouns are they, them. Fun fact, babies cannot drink water for the first couple of months after birth. They should not be drinking water because it does not supply the proper nutrients for them. That's why they drink a lot of milk. They cannot drink water. It doesn't supply anything to them. That's my fun fact.
So in that argument, babies are made of milk, not water.
Yeah, babies are yeah, kinda. Yeah. It's like not good for them. Apparently. I learned that recently, so.
My name is Farah, she, her. I'm playing Astra Nightstone, she, they. And my fun fact is that I haven't actually gotten a professional to cut my hair in years because COVID. So I did this after a different stream last weekend because I was just like so ready.
And when she says after, she means right after.
Yeah, literally, the Discord, I was like, hey guys, guess what I just did? It's 10 o'clock at night. My husband thinks I'm weird, but whatever. Look, it looks great.
Hello, I am Kristen, she, they. I am playing Raylan, they, them. And my fact is that Caleb Widowgast and Essek Thalis are in love. Thank you. That is all. I have spoken my truth.
It's a good fact.
Yeah,
I like that fact.
Liz, she, they. Fun fact. Oh, here's one. So the Universal monsters like the Mummy, Dracula, and Frankenstein, those classic like 30s movies, were known to be like some of the scariest movies at the time, but because of something called the production code during that time, most of the monsters only make about 3 or 4 appearances on screen during the entirety of their own films. In The Mummy, you only see the mummy once, like a actual close-up of its face, but they spend 2 hours running from it. So I think that's fascinating.
We have seen Fallmount through other One Class Act episodes. We have seen Naviad through the Prisoners miniseries, continents that reside on the material plane. Both beautiful in their own ways. But we aren't looking down on these continents today. Instead, we're looking up. At the sun that shines bright over the fields of Naviad and the beautiful fields of Fallmount. We look up at the sun that is so bright it's hard to stare into for some. And our scene opens as we move up towards the sun. We push through the sky, we push past the light, and then we see a city. Reflective and bright. The sun is the city itself that shines and reflects outward for its own protection. Unknown to the citizens in the plains below, Slousvania is suspended in the sky. An entire city made of gears and steel, iron slabs, various levels separated by gaps but connected by thick wires and zip lines traversed with various types of grappling guns. The constant humming and rumbling of newfound electricity, engines, the clicking of gears. There are various levels of the city, the lower levels suffering from runoff of various oils and grease, while other higher levels thrive in shiny metals and perfectly functioning equipment. A governmental citadel resides at the very top, with only one tube stretching to the next level for transport, highly monitored and secured. The camera moves up the tube and into the citadel itself. Gold and brass walls with yellow and honey-colored stained glass for windows. The citadel is massive, with various floors for various branches of the government that resides. And our story today takes us winding down hallways and up elevators, all the way to a department labeled the Arcane Inquisitors of Sleuthvania. Moving into the department, we see a circular room, bookshelves lining the back half of the circle. A crescent balcony aids in the reaching of the upper shelves, ladders all around that slide along shelves as well, and in the center of the room, we see 4 desks. And the camera pans over to the first name tag, reading Astra. Farah, please describe your desk to us. What does the desk itself look like? And then tell us, where is your character and what is she doing right now?
So, Astra's desk is meticulous. Stacks of paper are tidy. There are boxes, in boxes, out boxes, but there's also a bouquet of flowers. There's also a small stand where her familiar sits. The chair has a fluffy pink pillow for her back, and it's well appointed. She likes to look good while she's doing what she's doing. Astra is not there. It's probably, if it's starting time, she's late. But probably she's running down a hallway or walking down a hallway, none too fussed about it, and making her way into the office to meet with her compatriots.
The camera cuts back to the desk and then drifts over to the next name tag, reading Diana. Liz, please describe your character's desk and your character to us and where they are and what they're doing.
Diana's desk is, I think, like if you were to look at Astra's desk, which is probably very genuinely well kept, I think Diana's desk is attempting to appear well kept. There are like stacks of paper and like binder clips and paper clips and things like that, but close inspection reveals these things are probably never used and are only put on the desk to like generate the appearance of work being done. I like to think the wood of the desk has been like, although it's been tried, like there's a cover up happening with like maybe a nice mouse pad, I put air quotes. There are definitely a lot of scratches and scorch marks from maybe experimentation at the desk that probably shouldn't have been done. There's also a stand for a familiar, but it looks handmade and maybe not the most stable. And Diana's chair has horrible like punch marks in it, as if something has impaled through the seat. It does not look like a chair you would want to sit in. And where is she? About what is it about starting time? Like, are we coming in for the day?
Yeah, you're either coming in or already in the office. Up to you.
Okay. I think she's someone who's punctual. So we know now, we find out what the puncture marks are. Diana is an Aarakocra, and as such, Goblin sits in her chair without realizing that she has talons that will puncture said chair. She is quite tall, maybe like approaching 6 feet tall, but not quite there. With, you know how like when black cats lay in the sun, they're actually brown? That's kind of the effect of the color of her feathers. They are black, but there are spots of brown in them. And all of her feathers are tipped with the faintest hint of white and then gold. She has very alert golden eyes that are just kind of everywhere. She looks a bit like a hawk or a falcon. And she's just like goblin hunched, flipping through a spell book. And there are probably a ton of others just haphazardly stacked in front of her. I haven't decided what her familiar looks like yet, but the familiar is also on the stand. Perfect.
You just hear the sound of the rustling papers as the camera kind of pulls back and turns around to the other desk. This name tag reads Vesper. So, Kaz, please, what does this desk look like? What does the character look like?
This one is not trying to contain the fact that it's ridiculously messy. There are papers that are literally just like the drawers have been shoved with so many papers, and they're just falling out at this point. That the drawers can't close fully. But on top of this very like dark wooden desk, you see a bunch of like ossified bits and like just plants everywhere, just scattered in random jars. There's one plant that's like sitting in a jar, and if you look closely, there's like an eyeball just sort of in the bottom at the roots. It's a very strange like concoction of like weird, messy stuff. And already sitting at the desk, like as if they've probably been there for a little while now, you see this Earth Genasi, who just has bits of like dirt and dust just falling from them at all times. There's this marbled stone skin that has like striations of like green. You see that the hair is made of almost like this weeping willow material. It cascades down their shoulders. There's like little bits of creeping thyme that's sprouting from fissures in their skin, as if it's like kind of like stopping the body from like fully eroding almost. And sort of like with these like giant like goggles, basically like magnifying glasses, you see these like giant like bluish sort of brown jasper stone eyes, as they're just sitting at the like at their desk, sort of muttering to themselves, very like crouched in like in a very hunched position, like always slouching sort of, and just like looking at little bits of like bone all over, and just sort of like quietly like marking each of them, and then just sort of sitting there and like basically making a puzzle out of bone, to try and figure out whatever this creature was. So that is what you see Vesper doing.
Amazing. And the camera shifts away from that, and we see the last name on the last desk, Raylan. Kristen, please.
Yes. So, Raylan's desk is cold and clinical, functional, no sign of personality, just, you know, standard everything that you need. And it's not, you know, obscenely tidy, but it's not a mess either. Just, you know, in the middle of doing work. So it looks like someone is currently working. And the only two kind of semblances of a personality present is on the desk a framed maple leaf, and then next to the desk is one of those conspiracy boards with all of the red string all over everywhere, pictures of all sorts of people. You are all on there. You can see your photos on there. You're not implicated in anything, but you're being watched. And then Raylan themselves, fiery red hair, you know, kind of a light, very pale orangish kind of skin, and wears what I can best describe as like tactical wizard gear. You know, again, functional components, reachable, arcane focus right there. Like, there's not really much of a sign of like personal flair, just, you know, dark colors which do contrast with her really vibrant red hair and orange eyes and the like, but no, again, function over everything. And they are already at their desk, just working, focused, scribing, connecting glyphs, learning a new spell, perhaps researching one, just working and not paying much attention to anything else.
And I think this is just a very familiar feeling to all of you. With the three of you in here already like to work and just waiting for the fourth to arrive. The cleanliness or messiness of each other's desks, everything is familiar, and everything is you've been working together for a very long time. And then you hear the doors open. How does she enter this room?
So I imagine the familiar flies in first. It's a little white owl. And perches themselves on the stand. They've got a little blue bow tied on their neck, and then, as if in a cloud of perfume, not like unpleasant, it's very clearly expensive, but perfume enters Astra, making her entrance. She is a wood elf with freckles, big makeup, short practical hair, but like stylish. Kind of fancy clothes, so not quite robes, but very flowy. And they're carrying a coffee cup, two coffee cups, in fact, in their hands. And they drop one on Vesper's desk on the way in, and she just kind of like collapses into the chair, and just prattles a little bit. She's got like jewel encrusted ears, being an elf, and she just kind of prattles and like, darling, have you been at that desk all night? I mean, I know you are focused, but you do have to sleep at some point.
I slept for 4 hours, which is the necessary amount of time that you need to sleep. So yeah, it's all good. I'm fine. I'm great. Thank you for the coffee though.
For me,
Vesper-
it is actually the necessary amount of time that I need to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, for me, it's 4 hours, and I could do okay. Just don't ask me to do any big spells. Yeah,
you might want to add 4 more nightly, but yeah.
I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm good. And Vesper sort of like sneezes a bit from the perfume, but like tries to hide it very carefully.
Diana passes you a tissue before you sneeze.
Thank you.
Of course.
That's never not gonna be weird. Okay, thank you.
Also, I will chirp a greeting to Astra's familiar.
They will be back.
Oh, this is why I picked the bird person. I'm very excited.
just gonna hang out. They're just gonna hang out with me on my desk.
So what does this morning look like? Like kind of like easing into your routine in a sense. Does this look any specific way?
I think after some time, Raylan would get their usual like morning transcription out of the way and like, writing up any thoughts or notes that happened over the night outside of the office or whatever, and then begin the daily 5 hours staring at the conspiracy board. Just staring, and sometimes like every 45 minutes one string will move one pin over. And that's where Raylan's at right about now, thinking.
I imagine that of all of the pretty things on Astra's desk, one of them is a bowl of beautiful pearls. And she goes through kind of her inbox that's sitting on her desk. And there are some of the inbox items are requests for foresight stuff. So she uses a couple of the pearls to, cast, spells to see the future. And sends her familiar off to deliver the response. And then they pop back when they're done.
I think Diana is like 3 books in by now, which is record time. And they are like, goblin mode is an understatement. Like it's just like if they don't consume this information at 90 miles an hour, that they will disintegrate into the ether. And this is very normal for her. I've decided her familiar is a hawk that looks like her. And it's even though there is a stand on the desk, it knows better, and it's kind of on her head and just sitting. Oh wait, no, not a hawk. I'd love to use the hawk's stats, but there's a bird called a bearded nightjar that looks like a little baby dragon, and that one, but with gold ears, and it's just gonna sit, and it like puddles because it's so round, like, and just sits on her head. Bearded nightjar. It's very cute.
They're the coolest. They're so
Bearded.
cute.
They look like Toothless from How
Yeah.
to Train Your Dragon, but a bird.
Oh my god, I love them.
Although when they do open their mouths, it's like terrifying because it's just like
Exactly.
this empty gaping.
I was
Vesper at some point stops playing with the bones, and then eventually like figures out what it is and like cries out and like goes, "It's a baby parrotin. It's all good. We're good now. I figured it out." And then steps away, and then at some point just like goes off in a corner and tries reanimating said bones, because you gotta practice. So yeah, so that's what Vesper's up to.
Yeah, and I will note too, like for Raylan, like this is all so routine. Like there's no point in paying too much attention because this is just a rhythm that we all fall into all the time. And like whenever someone has a success and indicates it out loud verbally at all, like Vesper just did, Raylan will, shoot off a monotone congratulations just like into the void of the office, but continue to just ponder all of the different problems and things that they've had to solve and what they're researching and trying to connect who to who, because it feels like there's something here happening that they can't figure out, and so it consumes them. And if it weren't for the trance feature, they would also only be getting 4 hours anyway, so
In the office too, like various books kind of float by themselves, putting themselves away after like being unused for so long, or you see globes of all sizes, depictions of various different planets that seem to float around in various, for lack of a better term, like galaxies that have been kind of placed together. Planets maybe just representing planes themselves, but all in different little sections. They're floating around between like the two crescent stairwells that lead up, and the double doors that lead to your office open, and your attention diverts to the doors as they kind of open up. You see someone enter. He is tall with long legs and very thin, almost like a see-through purple cloak that like drapes down to his knees. His pants are a dark leather, and his shirt appears to be like a black dress shirt of sorts, on kind of like a button-up, but it almost looks like it's maybe silky. Both the dress shirt and the purple cloak are rolled up to his elbows, and his face, while pale in complexion, has human features. No, there's no point to his ears. He's got a defined jaw, a nose that appears to have been broken once in his youth. Black hair, short on the sides with a bit of like a messy by choice style up at the top. Clear skin, silvery gray eyes, and he walks in and he stops after he's noticed that he's kind of grabbed your attention. "Good morning, Inquisitors." He puts his hands behind his back politely. How do you respond? You have never seen this man before.
Oh, Astra stands up and smiles at him. Good morning.
I follow Astra's lead.
Raylan will just glance from the corner of their eye, not turning away from the conspiracy board, and go, "Who are you?"
Diana seems amused, as if she was waiting for this to happen.
Perfect. He doesn't have like a grim look on his face by any means, but he's not like smiling politely or anything. He just kind of is like emotionless in a way, and he just says, "My name is Elijah James. I've been sent to inform you about the anomaly. He seems to choose his words carefully. I come from the material plane, Fallmount, originally, to be more precise. We have plenty that study the arcane in Fallmount, but none that are quite as advanced as the Inquisitors of Sleuthvania, if the rumors are true. And you see him kind of looking at you curiously now.
Raylan moves forward and writes Elijah James on the board. And also anomaly with a question mark. Go on.
Very well. Something has been discovered, and I am here to make sure Fallmount has a footnote in the discovery with the Inquisition of Sleuthvania, since they are bringing it to your attention, of course.
Delightful. I do love me a mystery. Now, what kind of anomaly is this? Is this obviously magical? But details, darling, give me details.
Well, unfortunately, we know very little. Only that whatever it is, it's sending a massive arcane charge towards various locations within Fallmount. We can only assume other continents as well, just the other continents aren't as arcanely inclined as Fallmount. They haven't noticed yet, but we don't know if it's good energy or a bad, only that it's powerful, and it needs to be investigated before we find out the hard way. So, what do you think?
Any details about the kind of arcane charge that's happening? Like, doing something?
It just seems to be power, and then by the time we've noticed it, it's expended and it's gone.
Well, you see here, there in recent months have been some inquiries from different areas in Fallmount, it seems. Raylan will just point to different, investigations on the board. And this might have nothing to do with it, but it's worth a shot to see. Sounds interesting. They sound so uninterested, but you would all know by now that this is interested. Like, they wouldn't say they were interested if they were interested. So this is the equivalent of "Whoa, let's go!" for right
arguably too, if it's on the board, that means you're so interested. So the fact that it's there, everybody's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, Raylan, I ain't never seen you this excited about something before. That is not sarcastic. I turned back to the. Yeah.
It's rare that this many things seem to link up. So yeah.
Well, we have at least narrowed down where we believe the charge might be coming from, but we need something only Sleuthvania can provide. We need an airship.
What would I know of the administration to acquire such a thing?
The four of you are some of the most powerful people in this city. If you want an airship, you've got an airship.
Well, you're in luck. We have one.
Perfect. Do you need time? He kind of without really meaning anything, just kind of motions to certain messy points of the desks. Are you in the middle of a project, sort of? Do you need time? Or are you ready now?
Oh, darling, we got all the time in the world. Can I do a vibe check on this person?
Sure.
An insight check or something? To just be what's their deal?
Absolutely.
That's a 22.
Nice. You see he comes from either actual nobility or has been raised around nobility. He has this certain stance to him, this certain stature, but you're getting, with that role, you're getting a little bit more, and I think I'm going to message it to you.
If you will allow me, and if this would have been part of our daily ritual, if you will.
Mm.
I have telepathic bond that I can cast as a ritual.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
I
Please.
feel like I
yeah.
would do that every day
Yes.
so that we can
100%.
like, yeah.
That's amazing.
Truly Raylan's preferred form of conversation.
Yeah.
Is not
Silent and
yeah.
instantaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the audience, what is telepathic bond?
Yeah, so telepathic bond allows me to form a telepathic link with up to 8 willing creatures, psychically linking us all together. So it's basically like we can talk to each other in our heads. It lasts an hour, but the communication is possible over any distance, but not over planes. So during her social media break, if you will, she just keeps it up all day because it's just a ritual, like whatever, no big deal. But just so that in the case of tall, handsome, mysterious man entering the office, she can communicate to the rest of the group. Or she can yell at Vesper in their head to get up and get a goddamn snack once in a while because you need to stand up sometimes. But yeah, so that would have been a thing that I would do daily, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then all y'all will hear in your heads, Vesper may not have to sleep, but everybody that's alive has to breathe, and he ain't doing that. Out loud, I will say, well, we just gotta get that ship ready, and then we can hop on out. Do we need forces behind us? Any kind of crew? Obviously, we need people to fly the ship itself, but any dangers that we should know about?
He still has his hands behind his back, and you see for the first time, like, just a little grin on just one side of his mouth. And he just kind of takes a couple of steps forward. You hear, like, the boots kind of clicking against the floor. Takes a couple steps forward, more toward Astra than anyone. Has this slight smile and says, I'm leaving that to the Inquisitor's discretion. And also, me not breathing is the least of our problems. And he turns around and begins to walk out the door.
You intrigue me, sir.
I get that a lot.
What did you say your name was?
He stops kind of at the door and spins back around with that polite demeanor once again. Elijah James.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr. James.
Underlines it on the board.
Of the marker.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Can I ask a question? I was probably Vesper's pretty silent the entire time as this is happening. As a necromancy wizard, can I like just sort of like gleam?
Hey.
Yeah. Can I gleam anything from his like? Is he being animated by somebody like further away? Is he just like come back to life and now he's just kind of like, I have a new life, but I'm undead? Like, what is going on there?
Go ahead and make an Arcana roll.
Cool. It's a good thing I have a +9 to my Arcana. Jesus. 18.
And we'll go ahead and send you a message.
I have a question too. Because we came in for the morning, we're assuming a long rest has been taken before the start of our adventure.
Correct.
Excellent. I require that to function. Thank you. I went with Divination Wizard, by the way, because I realized we already had a Necromancy Wizard. So I'm excited.
That's okay. We have
Got it.
2 time wizards. Technically.
Time and
Fair
death
enough.
is perfect.
Fair enough.
Investigation would be useless right now, wouldn't it? In this moment. Fantastic
Depends
jam.
Depends on what you're trying to understand.
I would be trying to understand any potential ties that this person, the name, the type of being that they are appearing to be, like, would I also have good history too. Any kind of informational context clues that I could be like, maybe it's connected to this thing. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws quite literally.
Staring at this board, go ahead and make an investigation roll.
Okay.
You all hear in your head through this telepathic bond, you just hear Vesper go, "Oh, I like this guy."
Oh, why didn't I grab? I forgot that my D20 on actual D&D Beyond for some reason rolls at the speed of negative 3,000. So
Digital
my gosh.
dice are the
I don't
bane
have
of my
dice.
existence.
I don't have dice. Hold on.
Harry!
Okay.
It's fine. We're not fighting anything. We're just
chilling.
exploring. She doesn't need dice.
That's... Oh, I should wait. What am I thinking?
I am much more afraid of Carrie when she has dice, for the record. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bad things have happened.
That is a total of 23.
Okay, so like you were saying earlier, where people have kind of been sending in various reports, very scattered, you're understanding that by one thing being responsible for very specific reports, this one thing could be responsible for a lot more. So it's not quite this aha moment that you're looking for, but you think investigating this could lead you to that aha moment.
Raylan will relay that information to everyone telepathically, even though it doesn't matter. They are just so used to not speaking out loud.
And in a brief moment of pause, Elijah says, "Very well, I will meet you outside."
Yes.
Meet us on the docks, darling. We'll be there in a shake.
Mm-hmm.
He nods, kind of turns on his heels, and you see him walk out and close the door behind him. So it is just the four of you in here now.
I would presume that we have, like, silent wards on, like, our office that, like, people on the outside can't listen. Like,
given the conspiracy board, I'm going to consider that, yes, there probably are. Yeah.
Okay, so there's gonna not be, like, concerns about talking, but
not that it matters. I think this dude can hear all of our thoughts, so
yeah. So but that's why Raylan will decide to speak out loud, hoping that the sound buffering might help instead. Hopefully. It sounds like this could be a big deal. So I hope you're all rested.
give me another cup of coffee, I'll be good.
Diana slams the last book closed as now she has finished her pile. Can't tell whether or not she was paying attention to any of this. Like, she was just very, like, there. But now looking up and her feathers kind of ruffling, and then her familiar a few seconds later doing the same thing. I'm ready to go. You should all be careful though. Just everybody drink some water and, like, take a nice rest. If you don't sleep well, let me know. And she, like, looks at a book that she has and she kind of flips through like she's checking against something, and she just kind of proceeds into the shadows. Notes
on when we all last slept. Just like a chart of, like, okay, I saw Vesper eat a snack at...
She genuinely, like, as something I have written down for her, does, like, probability about how everyone's day is going to go and what their emotional state will be based on her natural divination and also what she observes about you guys. It's like, Vesper had only this amount of hours, but has had coffee and is intrigued by this stranger. Probably good. Raylan, question marks.
Is that just Raylan every day? Is Raylan
That's just Carrie every
question
day.
marks?
Yeah. Is it question marks because Diana doesn't know, or question marks because Raylan doesn't know?
I feel like the reason Astra delivers coffee to Vesper every day is partially because at one point Diana showed me your numbers and I was like,
Yeah.
I can do something about that.
The only
Just
reason why
started
coffee
delivering
is been-
coffee.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
now look, now Vesper is addicted to coffee. So thank you.
But it
I'm
made things
getting
better.
called out a lot in this, personally, by
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
What's in the mug, Carrie?
That's how we get back at our GM.
You know what's in the mug.
That's fair. I've turned my whole online presence and brand into coffee, so I get it. I think at that point Raylan would like dust off, like, okay, all right, practical approach, keys, phone, wallet, more like powder, pearls, book.
Spellbook.
Do any of you have arcane foci? Do you have an arcane focus?
Okay,
I
so
do.
yes, I do. It is a quarterstaff that has a ruby in it that is the arcane foci itself. So just, rocking that guy. And as they actually walk, you can see they lean on it a little bit as they move through. But it doesn't seem to be too obvious, but because you all know them so well, you would have picked up on that being a thing by now.
Awesome. I think the phone wallet keys turns into like component pouch, which by the way, I don't give a fuck about components.
Okay, I was
You're
gonna
level
ask. I was
17.
like, I use a component pouch.
You're level 17, you'll have the supplies that you need. Like, don't worry about that. You're super powerful. But if those components can like add to the description of the spells and everything, absolutely go for it. Component pouch, focus, familiar. That's your phone wallet keys before you're leaving.
Yep.
Does anyone else have a specific description of like their focus or anything like that?
So part of Astra's fabulous outfit, you guys would have noticed, she has multiple different colors of harness for her wand. Like, that goes with her belt or her suspenders or her jacket or whatever, that kind of tucks it down her side so they can just kind of like pull it out. And then on the other side, kind of like the gun holsters that go under the shoulders, is where her component pouch is. It's just like a bag of holding situation that you can just reach in and pop the additional requirements out of. She also changes into practical shoes, which is to say 3 inches or less.
I love her so much. Diana has okay, I got specific because I'm a nerd. So Diana has this little contraption, and it was like almost like a crystal ball type orb, but small, in like a golden cradle that would allow rotation, and she would probably use this for scrying and such. You would assume that is the function of the machine, but she now wears it around her neck on like a very thick, like golden band, almost like a choker, and the orb still rotates in its cradle, and that's the focus. So I like to think her familiar, who I am deciding is named Twiggy, this is new to me, also has a very tiny one, but it looks handmade, like it doesn't look genuine.
That's adorable, and I'm obsessed with it.
Thank you.
You just see Vesper running around, grabbing as many components as possible and stuffing them into like there is like basically like a holster around their hips that like just has little tiny like pockets that they can put little things in. There's definitely like basically like knee-high boots that they're wearing that they just start shoving like little plants into, and just like at some point just starts like shoving bits and plants into like the fissures in their skin and like is just trying to grab as many things. There's breaking glass. It's chaotic.
The only time Raylan breaks is when Vesper is doing anything. Vesper running around in absolute chaos, unorganized chaos, potentially unprepared, even though Raylan knows that Vesper ends up never being unprepared. Raylan is just like, okay, yep.
I'm almost done. It's fine. It's good. We're all good. I'm done.
Vesper, it's every time. I've tried to rewind time and see if you would do it differently. I've done it a lot actually. And it's just never different. And you don't know because I make sure you don't know, but it's always
thrive on madness. You have to understand, okay? Look, everything is chaotically put places so that this is my routine. And it is a good routine, and I like my routine.
It's so hard to understand.
I know. I totally get it.
It works. So what can I?
Diana just goes like 3, 2, 1 to themselves, and like I like to imagine Vesper knocks something over or something like they just.
Vesper was trying to grab something as like they were being talked to, and like the glass fell and shattered like at them.
Yeah, and Raylan will just go.
That scream then hard cuts to the 4 of you standing at the docks.
Oh, perfect.
You see, it's not like a extravagant airship by any means. You are, again, looking for something practical to get you to a place. You're not sure if the airship will make it back. You don't know. You don't know what you're heading into, necessarily. So it's a somewhat small airship. You see sails intertwined with ropes and gears that are able to like shift them into any direction at the push of a button or the pull of a lever. You see a green glowing rock, almost like coal, that is being like arcanely charged to fuel the ship before its voyage. You can see these like coals themselves being physically charged right now before being shoveled into the ship itself. And we see the 4 of you standing and eventually coming up to meet Elijah James, who is currently walking the boarding plank to get onto the vessel itself. You guess that this airship could probably transport about 24 people plus the crew, but you've noticed that Elijah has paid for the entire ship itself. Like, Elijah has bought for like the crew only, the crew and you to be the only ones on the ship. Do you have any specific notes for boarding?
Diana has a bag of birdseed and is like snacking, and then will every once in a while offer some to her familiar. She does not like boats. She is a creature of the sky, does not like the flailing mass of wood, even though it's in the air. She's just like, this is upsetting. Everything about this is upsetting. So she's just like panic snacking and trying not to give off that energy, even though she definitely is.
Vesper would like to just go stand near Elijah. Just
like
just walk up quietly and just stand beside him.
Yeah. Mimic his pose a bit, but like more slouched. So, you know.
I think there's this moment where he like looks at you and then just kind of resigns to this and just turns and looks back out, like just allows it. It's just like, okay, this is fine.
I am fascinated. I am studying him the entire time. Eyes not off Elijah at all.
Perfect.
In that vein, Raylan would stay within visual observation of Elijah at all times for note-taking purposes. But also would be finding the comfiest place to sit at every opportune moment. Comfy sitting as much as possible. The chronic pain of leaving the office is a little icky.
Would I, after working together, know if it's a like because you use the staff that it's a physical thing that you can't stand for long periods of time, or is it more
It's
just like emotionally you don't want to leave the room?
It's well, so not leaving the room is more of like an emotional, I will only do it out of necessity, but the necessity really fuels me. But the pain thing is more of just like this underlying chronic pain condition that sometimes flares up, and unfortunately it seems to line up with this random strange person walking in and asking us to leave. So it's just kind of one of those things.
Mostly
You
because
would
I
all
think
know that. Yeah.
yeah, I think Astra. First of all, her thing is she gets on the ship. She talks to everybody. She gets to know the captain, like just to know who we're dealing with here. But similar to the delivery of the coffee, and because we're so high up and we have kind of these. Okay, Carrie, don't have to call me out into the chat. She would if we ever do go on boats or like have to do something like this, arrange to have like a comfortable something for you so you don't have to like sit on a box. Because like I know for me, if I sit in an upright position for too long, I'm done. Like I'm useless. So whether that's like we know that you would prefer an incline chair or like a fainting couch or like a normal chair, like a footrest, whatever, she would acquire that thing for you and bring it on the ship. Or like get someone to bring it on the ship.
Perfect. Yeah. So Raylan would automatically know where to find it, where to go, and in your mind, you would just hear like the automatic like thank you, even though it's routine. There's always a thanks.
Perfect. Eventually the ship, glides out of the docks and you feel a jolt as the engines roar with the power of the like arcanely charged rocks that are down below in the actual like engine itself. The wood creaks and the sails are positioned in just the right manner to then propel the ship forward. And the city gradually grows brighter and brighter and brighter, and as you reach a certain distance, you don't know there's a city there, and it's just sunlight directly in your face. The sunlight itself making it hard to see each other for a moment. You have to cover your eyes. You have to kind of hide your eyes in your arms or in your cloaks. And then eventually you're far enough away to where the light mostly just blankets, and you're able to look around again. You see... Once that time hits, you see Elijah spinning a ring on his finger, and then he says, I'll need to instruct the captain about the exact coordinates. Excuse me. And he turns and heads to go speak with the captain.
I will refrain from following him.
I feel like you probably like take a step, and then you're like, no, I probably should.
Yeah. I'll go find Astra, and I will be like, I have some fascinating news about Elijah James. Do you want to hear it? He's a vampire.
A vampire? Oh my.
It's
I feel like it's been a while. Do you remember that one time in, oh god, where were we? But I remember there was that coven that was just, oh god, they were insufferable.
Yes, they were. Which is saying something, because usually I'm okay with insufferable people, but...
Wait a minute.
Else.
Never mind.
No.
Well, I mean, did you ask him about it or anything? Or
oh no,
I
I was just looking at him.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right.
He's very pale. It's kind of weird. I couldn't tell. Carrie, does it look like he drinks? Like he just like casually just drinks blood? Is he a non-blood goer? You know, like vampires. Like in Twilight, you know, the vampire eyes changed.
Twilight, the official source book of all things vampire.
I mean,
let me reference page. No,
my teenage
where Edward
self is
says, our
You think
Lord
maybe-
and Savior
you
Edward
think-
Cullen says.
You think you did see him spark? No, that was just the sunlight.
no, it's just sunlight. No.
happy. Damn it.
No, you have not seen him drink anything, and you
Okay.
have not seen his eyes change color. So
So on Twilight rules, we're not sure.
Hard to
I'm not
say.
sure. Hard to guess. He has a
Um,
ring that he was playing with. We should
Hmm.
keep an eye on that. Might be like a spell storing ring or teleportation or something of the sort.
Does the I don't know about vampires. Does the hearing the psychic communication, is that a vampire thing or is that something that he does special?
It's a vampire thing. It's a vampire thing.
Okay.
If I remember,
I would say Vesper. You know that it's a powerful vampire thing.
Okay.
It's not just any new vampire can't do that. They've got to be pretty.
I'm talking.
Ayo.
I'm talking higher vampire. We're not talking about like he was just changed like 10 years ago. I'm talking like he might be really old, like 300-400 years.
I mean, that's not that old. I mean, you don't have to go about calling people out here. Vesper.
Oh, I
You
wasn't
were
doing
at
it.
my
that.
birthday last year.
I was, and I'm
remember.
not saying. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm just saying in terms of vampires, because sometimes they get killed, and it's a short life that they lead.
It's
100
fine.
years.
It's fine.
200.
I know your kind don't live as long as mine.
You don't need to rub salt in the wound, okay?
No, you do that yourself with your components. I got you that pouch last year, and never mind.
I'm using it. It just doesn't hold everything.
You know how much weight that thing can hold?
I just start taking like the components from my the little fissures in my body, and I start stuffing them in that pouch.
No, darling, it's fine. It's like this conversation I'm pretty sure we've had about 1,000 times at this point.
a dozen. Yeah.
And it ends the same way
Yeah.
every time. Because eventually you'll just start putting things back.
I think Raylan would have followed Elijah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, can I send
Sure.
Twiggy after?
Absolutely. Are you trying to be hidden, or do you care being seen?
Oh, no, it's not a me question.
Right now, don't care.
Okay. Yeah. Then, once he notices that you're following, he kind of just holds the door open, waiting for you to follow in. He gives the captain basically you see a map and you see a range of coordinates circled. It just seems to be coming from this spot. I don't know the exact coordinates, but he's kind of giving those. You can even probably sketch out a little copy of whatever map he has there.
Oh yeah, anything that can be written down, going.
Perfect. And you hear the captain ask, should we be expecting any sort of resistance or turbulence? And Elijah I honestly don't know. I have no idea what we're going into. So we're all in the... And then he kind of, shakes his head, same boat, and turns around and begins to walk out.
Can I do an investigation check of the stuff that's visible? Is there any information that Elijah gave the captain that I don't have that is visible?
Sure. Investigation or perception will work just fine.
Yeah, no, they will touch things if necessary, so I'm gonna do investigation.
Perfect.
Shameless. This should really be easy because it's a plus 11. I'm 25.
Boom. Yeah, you just, after Elijah leaves, you just walk over and start shuffling through some of the paper. The captain, the captain knows your rank, so to speak. So, the captain is not questioning anything that you are doing, just kind of steps aside and lets you see what's happening while still doing his duties as the captain. But,
Yeah.
you don't see any information new. Elijah truthfully seems to have told you everything that he knows.
Well, with that, Raylan will head back out and probably walk up to Vesper and Astra right as that whole debacle ends. The usual component conversation. I don't know if it's better or worse that we're going in with literally no information.
Well, it means it means that there is a ton of information there to find out. It'll be wonderful.
That'll be fun.
What if it's bad information?
Well, then we know it, and that's good.
And then something must be done about it.
And that's
Well,
why
then-
we're here.
Yeah. Or, we could take it to the higher ups, and, they can deal with it too.
We've been asked to deal with it. We're gonna have to. Diana!
There's an offended squawk at the volume.
Yeah. You'd think Raylan would know by now. Nope.
They appear in a rustling of disgruntled feathers.
I feel like you're the one who understands that, like, sometimes you can't get out of what, like, fate has in store for you, and that also you don't always know, yeah?
Yeah. But really quick, I have a Carrie question. How long is this journey supposed to take?
From the coordinates given, anywhere from like 5 to 6 hours.
Damn it. Okay, thank you. I have a spell that's absurd. The casting time is ridiculous. But
What is it?
It's the 12-hour casting time.
Oof, yeah, no.
It's fine. Okay.
I was gonna say we can slow down a little bit, but like that's
Guys,
slowing down a lot a bit.
Can we drive slower so I can cast the spell?
I want this airship
And
going 2 miles an hour.
And like, we're all used to Diana asking, so we're like, oh my god.
Guys,
Wait,
it's
can't you can't one of you make time? Make an extra 6
Yeah.
hours?
Can't one of you do that? I don't know how
I
this
do have
works.
that
Hold-
spell. It's
Hold up. So I can trance and get my spell slot back. I can do a quick little 4-hour sleepy sleep if I were to want to bend the purpose of the spell time stop to give Diana the ability to cast the 12-hour spell.
I think that sounds awesome.
So I'm just gonna say that because I'm a super cool, powerful wizard, I can, fudge with the rules of things a little bit for our benefit. And I know Diana is capital L like capital T this, like this. And so this is a special skill and routine that I have adopted to because, again, Raylan is always about function over everything else. So, I would like to cast Time Stop at my 8th level slot. Or wait, I think that's my 9th level slot. Then immediately go to trance.
You just stop time and pass the fuck out. Like, you're good.
Like, so that
Fantastic.
if I get the go ahead, I can kind of describe what it looks like. But
Yeah, please do. Go for it.
great. So Raylan would move her hands around in a motion, kind of drawing glyphs visibly in the air with what is like a yellow sparkly highlighter effect. And as the glyphs come to life, you can kind of see the ticking hands of a clock inside of them. And she reaches out and just grabs it, and it stops. And the flow of time for everybody else but like me and Diana specifically slows, giving us more ample time, me to rest, Diana to cast. And it would be like a hazy blur around the edges of your eyes, and the seemingly feeling of everything else around you being in molasses. Yeah. And then nighty-night.
I don't think Diana even notices until Raylan lays down. Because they're just like that. So I would then like to use my fabricated 12 hours to cast simulacrum. I don't know how to say that word, but I know what it means. Which is, I should read what the spell does, huh? That would be helpful for us if I read what the spell does, because I don't want to say it and be wrong. I've done that before. Here we go. Okay. The exact wording of the spell. You shape an illusory duplicate of one beast or humanoid that is within range for the entire casting time of the spell. The duplicate is a creature, partially real and formed from ice or snow, and it can take actions or otherwise be affected as a normal creature. It appears to be the same as the original, but it has half the creature's hit point maximum and is formed without any equipment. Otherwise, the illusion uses all the stats of the creature it duplicates, except it's a construct. It's friendly to you, obeys your commands. It can never become more powerful than it is. And if you damage it, there are rules about how to fix it. Basically, I'm spawning, and so I'm gonna. Diana has the cantrip shape water, so she is going to take off with her giant wings into the clouds, and shape water and freeze it and generate the snow that she needs for the spell, like just constant. And using that, is going to sit right next to Raylan. We'll kind of take a blanket out of her pack and give it to Raylan, but then we'll continue to shape the duplicate. And when it is finished, it looks like Diana, but distinctly more masculine. And some of the clothing is just a little bit different. So duplicate, but bending the rules a little bit. And when it's finished and it like blinks and looks around for the first time, she just lets out this little sob and hugs it very tight. And it kind of slowly envelops her as well. And then I don't know what happens with Raylan. We just watch Raylan sleep, I guess.
So I will say, like, it's appearing like at the end of the journey, basically, since we kind of have that, you know, extra time. And towards the end of this journey, Elijah holds a small, like, telescope in his hands at various intervals of the travel and is kind of like looking off in the direction that you're heading. And eventually you're noticing that he's seeing something, and he kind of like lowers the telescope and hands it over in Astra's and Vesper's direction, for whoever would like to take it and take a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you take it and you kind of look out. You see a floating chunk of earth. It almost looks like it's a mountain, but upside down, just floating in the sky. It's the only thing you've seen besides clouds since you've been out here, so.
What in the world is that?
That's an excellent question.
I will hand it to Vesper.
What am I looking at?
You put it to your eye. You look out. It's backwards. Just turn it around. There you go. Yeah, you see this like jagged earth. It almost looks like, as you're getting even closer, like chunks of earth are like falling from it, but it doesn't seem to be actually falling. It falls and then freezes. So all the earth still kind of like stays around itself. And as you are drawing a little bit closer, Raylan, you're waking up. Diana, your duplicate is here. You're smelling deep earth, like that earthworm smell that just lingers and only gets stronger the closer that you are getting.
Vesper's like, yeah, that's the good stuff.
I myself am being like, oh my god, that smells amazing. Please.
No, I can distinctly smell that smell too. I'm like, oh, that cave I went to in 7th grade, I smell that right now, you know?
I have really negative thoughts towards it because the first time I ever had one of those like Harry Potter Birdie Bots flavored beans, it was an earthworm flavored one, and I was like, no, done, absolutely done with that scent.
That's fair. That's
Awful.
fair. Are we all able to see it, or is it only really visible through the little right now?
As you're close enough to smell it, you are close enough to see it as well.
Can I do a, just out into the universe history check of if I've heard of anything like this ever being a thing?
Yeah.
Is this a phenomena that has been documented before, because it seems so distinct and odd? Let's see.
Let's do a history check on that.
Yeah, go for it.
You would think that adding 2 ones to a number would just make it so easy for my brain, and yet it's almost as if because it's supposed to be easier, I'm having a harder time. That's a 28.
I also got a 28.
Ayo! Look at us.
Twinsies. Immediately, you both think of the elemental plane of Earth. It's made up of, you've never been there, but it is made up of structures that are described just like this. Granted, most of them are connecting to other pieces, but that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay. Yeah, Raylan is gonna kind of stay quiet because those strings are being altered in a mental image.
And you do notice as the ship is getting closer, the crew is struggling for a moment to actually make the ship go closer. And you know how when you have 2 magnets and they're like forced against each other, like that's kind of how it's feeling. Every time the ship is trying to turn in, you feel a resistance and it's kind of pushed back. So you see them kind of working to get you as close as possible to this landmass while fighting off this resistance.
Does it seem like any progress is being made, or is it just a continual like myth of Sisyphus kind of thing going on?
If progress is being made, it's very minimal, and it's kind of just turned into they're trying to turn the ship to give you the best view of how we can possibly make it over to this landmass without the ship. Because eventually the crew does kind of give up. You just see them kind of looking around like, I'm sorry, we can't get you any closer.
Anybody got transportation? Teleportation? There we go. That's the word. We have transportation currently.
Well, if the magic of the ship ain't working, I'd be hesitant to use something like Dimension Door, but we could probably try. At least one of us has to have prepared polymorph, right? Maybe?
How far is the distance? Because I might be able to fly people one by one and save the spell slots. My fly speed is 50, so I don't know if that's something that would be possible with some time.
I think it would take some time and you would have to drop off one person at a time, but you could definitely do that.
So, I mean, I can sort of ferry us if you don't want to expend the magic, but it is
What
probably
if
I just have a bad feeling about this.
What if I transform either Astra or Vesper in using polymorph into a bird as well, and then we each just ride on a bird and it's one go? Well, are we bringing Elijah with us?
The moment you say that, Elijah says, "Don't worry about me."
I don't like this dude's vibes.
You know what?
them.
Raylan did ask that out loud, by the way. Raylan did say, "Wait, are we that one, that guy?"
I'd be down to be turned into a bird. I've always wanted to see what I'd turn into. Could I choose?
You have to be big.
Okay. So like how about a vulture?
A giant vulture. Yes, fuck yeah.
Yep.
Just a
Felt
big
that
one.
one in my bones. Yeah, so I'll cast polymorph at 4th level and turn you into a giant vulture, and I am getting on Diana.
Okay.
Vulture.
I will make
I'll ruffle my feathers.
I will make encouraging bird noises relaying instructions to Vesper because I don't think you retain much of your consciousness as polymorph, so just be like, hey buddy. Like, try to get them to remember what's going on.
I'll go up.
I'm a
and,
vulture. That's what's going on.
Immediately looking for food.
I will offer some of the bird seed that I have, and
No,
I'm
talking carrion. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?
I forgot vultures. Never mind. Yeah, enjoy looking for meat.
Thank you.
That is not something I have. I will scoop Raylan into my arms Superman style.
Oh, great.
I will
and-
lower
and
myself down.
Raylan's just very, like, dead weight, just like, okay.
Get this over with.
Okay, we're doing this. Yep.
Diana's like desperately trying to support their head, but they're just not having it. Like, oh, well, see, this is why I'm trying to support your head, so your headphones don't go flying into the abyss. How else will Raylan prove that they're a gamer if they lose their headphones to the sky? You're muted, bitch.
I could still hear you through my headphones the whole time. I was just like in so much emotional pain that I couldn't pick them back up yet.
Amazing. So what does this Vesper Astra situation look like?
I lower myself down and spread a wing for you to be able to climb yourself onto my back.
Wonderful. I try to make sure my heels, my shorter heels, do not like impale you or anything. And I just tuck my feet behind your wings or whatever logistically makes sense. Please don't drop me, darling. That would be very unfortunate. Oh, perfect sound.
I was over here like, please make a vulture noise. Please make a vulture noise.
I was like, I have no idea what vultures sound like, but probably weird. So there you go.
Amazing. So the four of you make your way over to this landmass, and you see, like, after you've landed, you see Elijah kind of instructing the airship to just go higher, not any closer, but higher. And as it does so, you see him step up on the side of the boat itself and basically like launch himself off of it. You see this giant leap, and then he lands down on the earth, like directly near the four of you. As you have reached the structure, it smells of like many different smells. You smell brimstone, salt, grass, sulfur, paint, dirt, ink, paper, oil, campfire. It's like ever changing, but somehow everything at once. It's hard to like place or pin down. And you see it's a rocky and jagged landscape. Mechanically speaking, this whole area is considered like difficult terrain. Every piece of like jagged rock is slippery, so when you step on it, you're gonna kind of slide down. It's hard to find a place for your feet to step that isn't difficult. But you're all kind of looking at this landmass that you've landed on.
So really quick, knowing then that Raylan would have a hard time with, you know, their mobility aid getting suctioned into the mud, I'm gonna kind of just hover with them, not against their will if they do want to get down, but just like as an easier means of navigating so it doesn't
Oh, for now, yeah, efficiency. Yep, just letting it happen until it can't anymore. So,
I imagine that you'll just start flailing like a cat that doesn't want to be held anymore, like when this moment is over. So I'll just
yeah, and like not that it matters, but because Raylan is kind of like tiny and frail, like it really shouldn't affect you too much to be carrying small elf, sad, squishy wizard.
just in one hand, just like
Yeah, honestly, like you're like a potato.
Is Vesper still polymorphed?
How long does polymorph last? Like 8 hours, right?
yes, it does.
Tech?
Does it? I thought it was nice.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 hours.
I think it's 8 hours.
I think
It
I could have sworn it
says-
was 1, but
Yeah,
that might be wrong.
concentration 1 hour.
I might be
Oh.
thinking of true polymorph.
True polymorph.
Oh,
yeah.
true polymorph. Okay, yeah.
And the
Um,
druid one also. Wild shape.
I will, if the terrain is a little rough, I will just, if you know, you want a free ride, Astra, like I'm chilling. Like I'll be a bird, you know.
Oh yeah. Won't get my shoes dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're kind of moving through this beginning, just rocky, jagged area. And eventually it seems like that's almost like the exterior, almost like crust of this landmass. Once you get a little further in, it's still not pleasant to look at, or there are spots that are still jagged, but it looks like it's much easier to walk on. And you can kind of land down after that. Everyone who would like to, make a perception check.
I will also cast mage armor on myself. But I got a 23.
Dirty 20.
Hold on, I'm mathing.
25 and
21 for me.
yeah.
Okay, was the 25 the highest, or did we have one higher?
I think
You had a 20. You had a 23? Okay, cool. So Raylan, you see, as everyone's kind of landing, you see some sort of structure in the distance. It looks like a building with architecture like nothing you've ever actually really seen before. It almost imitates the jagged rock that you're seeing around you, but it looks a little more intentional. It's carved stone, but in like impossible shapes. That's all you can make out from this distance, but you are the first one to see that. It's easy to see if it's pointed out. It just kind of blends in with all of the other jagged things everywhere.
Raylan would then tell everybody, except for Vesper, Bird Vesper, can't fully comprehend what I'm about to say, don't think. But maybe I'm wrong. But we'll let everyone know in their mind, hey, look, that's a building. See, look at it's weird, but it's clearly a building. It looks like it's not, but it is, because look at how intentional that line is, and that one, and so.
Is Elijah just walking on the ground and we're all flying above?
Correct,
Like,
yes.
oh my god.
Nerd.
I will make my way towards the building.
I'm at the mercy of Diana, so we're going wherever Diana takes.
I'm also we're both like
All right, so
Zoom in.
we are heading to this building. As you're getting closer, you can see that it is like carved stone in impossible shapes and impossibly like intricate details carved into them as well. And you see like gold inlays in the etchings themselves. You see a double door that seems to be framed in like gold as well as you're approaching it. There are no windows. You don't see any windows in the entire place, and you see one set of double doors on like a really jaggedly placed together staircase. With flying, I would say it could take about your hour of polymorph to get there.
Poof! Right outside the double doors.
I will be like conscientious and like fly myself back down within the last minute. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I assume Elijah is very fast and has caught up with us the entire way because
Correct.
vampire.
Yes.
So when we arrive, you ever seen anything like this before?
He is staring up at it and in admiration. I mean, it's fascinating, but he's shaking his head. Nope, can't say that I have.
Insight check.
Insight
Go
check.
for it.
Also that one.
I don't know anything. That's
18.
a 4.
I'm good at
15.
this one.
18.
Hold on. Mine might be high. Oh, mine is very. Oh boy. That's what's 15 plus 9? Help. That's
24.
24.
Yeah, thank you. I don't do math.
Yeah, so the rest of you, he has hardly any expressions. He's very hard to get a read on. But Diana, you're able to see this, not quite childish wonder, because you feel like he probably doesn't even really know how to portray that anymore. But there is this curiosity, this excitement. Not many things are new to him, and you can tell this is new to him.
Damn it, making me like him. Okay. I'll just kind of I feel like all of us who went insight check probably are squinting suspiciously. So I'll probably give a very subtle nod of he's all right.
Interesting.
I would like to take a closer look at the door, and before I touch it, any of the inscriptions, anything like that, to see if they're magical traps, magical whatever. Yeah.
Sure. You see many symbols on the door that basically reference the different schools of magic and everything, and you see a few symbols that you don't recognize, but you assume are also referencing schools of magic, just maybe magic that's not known to any of you. Nothing appears to be a language by any means, but some seems decorative. It just seems very extravagant.
This is my kind of building. There's a puppet play I went to once that was something about speak in friend and enter, but I don't quite think this is it.
I mean, you could try. Speak, friend, and enter.
I say it in Elvish and Sylvan.
Yeah.
I'll go through all my languages as well, Dwarven, Erica Crown.
I'll say it in
Primordial.
Abyssal and Undercommon.
Yeah. Orin.
When it doesn't work, I push at the door.
Oh boy.
There we
You
go.
just push it open after that. Yeah, you open up the door and you
This
see
is the easiest door in all of D&D history. It just opened.
It just opens. You open the door and you see just the little light kind of shining through from the door opening itself. And you see inside of this room a colorless orb is the best way to describe it. It's not black, but it's hard to tell when you're looking straight at it. And after it opens, you're then able to hear this hum and pulse from it as it resides in the middle of this room. You see wisps that are coming off of it, using no patterns or predictability. And as your eyes are adjusting, you see nothing else in this room. It almost looks like a perfect dome was carved out inside of this place just to hold this orb.
Investigation check.
Great.
I want to say I am a silly goose. I just made a duplicate of myself and then that can fly and did not use that to transport us across the gap because
How did we all forget? It was such a short
We
amount of
spent
time.
12 hours.
I
immediately forgot.
stopped time, and I forgot that you had a duplicate.
The good thing is he doesn't go anywhere until he dies. This the spell is to create him, and then as long as he never perishes, he exists for the rest of time. So
wow. But so additional good news though, on top of that, is that I rolled a natural 20 for a 31 on investigation.
Look at the orb.
Damn.
I'm also casting mage armor upon myself now.
As you walk in, you're like, yeah, that investigation check, you see what appear to be drag marks on the floor that seem to lead to the orb itself.
Is the orb eating people, Carrie? Don't shrug at me with your machinations and your plots. I say with love.
If I were to follow the drag marks, where do they go? Where do they start? End.
As you're able to see more and more of this room, you can see the drag marks seem to start at various points of the entire room and just end at the orb.
Yeah, and I'll throw up a dancing lights, by the way,
Perfect.
just to illuminate it a little bit more, and they look like little miniature suns. Yeah, okay.
Can I, with whatever this would take, see if this orb is at all similar to mine? Meaning, like, what is it? Figuring out what it does. Is it an amplifier? Is it a focus? Does it hold a specific spell? Like, what does it do?
Sure. Do you want to make an Arcana check for that?
Sure. Okay. Big money. Now what is my modifier for this? Oh, everything's so high. 27.
Okay. You just take a couple of steps forward. You all are kind of scattering in a sense, with Raylan investigating these marks, Elijah coming in as well. And you're taking a look at how this orb itself is pulsing. It seems shapeless. Pieces of it kind of come out and come back in. It pulses and hums, and there's this fear in your stomach as you're realizing you've never seen anything like this before. You don't know what the purpose of this could be. And then your eyes drift down to the drag marks that are all around. And you hear the pulsing start to pick up just a little bit more. And then you hear this sucking sound as the orb itself opens. And I'm needing all of you to make a dexterity saving throw for me, please. As you you suddenly feel this pull of, for lack of a better word, gravity sucking you towards this orb itself. Do you need to roll for your little duplicate as well? Cool.
Yes, I do. And I think my familiar too. Heartbreaking. I want to see if I can help anybody though before. Oh shit! I have my portent rolls I didn't do. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna choose to use that for a portent thing because that was really good and it could save somebody's life. Sorry. Oh god.
Well, I got a 10.
You got what my familiar got.
Which
Oh, no.
I got a 20 though.
Okay, interesting. What do I need to roll again?
So, dexterity, unless your strength is higher, but you're all wizards, so I don't know, but I'm not judging. If your strength is higher, you can make a strength saving throw instead.
Saving throw. Okay, not
Yes.
a check. Okay. So for myself, I got a 23 because I'm speedy. For my duplicate, we have a whopping 16. And for my familiar, I have a 4.
Wait, so out of non-familiars, who rolled the lowest? You rolled a 10? Okay, can I, as a reaction, telekinetically shove Vesper back 30 feet? Because I have telekinetic shove as a bonus action.
Yeah, I love that. I'll explain what that looks like in a minute.
Great.
So did we have all familiars out?
I don't have one.
They all fail? Okay.
Yeah.
All familiars failed though? Okay.
Oh, and I rolled a 20.
Just
I don't
gonna eat
know
our
about
pets.
that.
It's fine.
R.I.P. to the familiars.
Just eat the pets. It's cool. The birds.
Is there something you can do to save your familiars?
Oh yeah, I snap it out of existence.
Great.
I'll do that one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
The
In that
ribbon
case,
falls to the ground. Or
there is only a couple seconds to react as you suddenly feel this orb open up. You hear this almost like vacuum sound, and all of you feel yourselves immediately being pulled. And there's a moment where your body like instinctually wants to turn and grab onto something, but there's nothing in the room because everything's already been pulled into this orb. And I'm going to let you be creative with how exactly you are in fact staying in this room. You do see Elijah immediately turn and slam what are fingers, but are probably claws now, into the wall itself, and is just like holding on to the wall. You see the legs lift up off the ground. How are the four of you staying in the room? And I will note, Vesper would have been sucked into this orb if not for Raylan's last minute spell of like
Good God.
shoving them back toward the wall.
I will slam, similar to Elijah, I will slam my talons one into the wall, and then I'll use the free leg to, like, if anybody seems in danger. I know Vesper is probably out of my grasp, but if anyone seems to be slipping or in trouble, I would use that to try and catch them. Oh, my duplicate! Can I try to, I keep forgetting he's here and he's very important to me, which is embarrassing. Can I try to, like, grab him by the shoulder or something with my other leg? I don't want to lose him, his baby.
I will say, since he failed and you succeeded, I'm gonna have you make a luck roll.
Okay.
You have to get an 11 or higher.
On a d20.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my god, that's a 12.
And I will say,
Oh my
yes, last minute you are able to reach out and like catch him, basically.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna just give him a nod, but I look very scared.
Yeah, I think you catch him and then you look over and you see your familiar like plummeting towards the orb and you just snap and just disappears. Perfect.
Can I explain this in a wild, wacky wizard way that
Please do.
doesn't actually impact anything? Great.
Correct, yes.
So Raylan will, temporal shunt, that's a very different spell. Has very different implications. Will telekinetically shove Vesper out of the way, and then to stop themselves from getting sucked in, will, with fingers that are kind of glowing that familiar, like, yellowish hue from when they cast earlier, will cut into what seems like just the air, but like a portal will kind of open up, and a lava-like energy will spill and fill this space and turn translucent. And essentially what they will have done is created a dead space, no time between them and the orb trying to pull them in, so like time doesn't exist. It's essentially a really fancy way to cast like shield. So it's like a modified kind of shield vibe to just stop the effect from getting through.
I imagine Astra steps in the room and then she gets kind of a look on her face. Her eyes go wide, and then suddenly she's 6 feet back, right outside the door, because she saw it happen and backed up in time to rewind. And then when she landed, or just like reappeared, the owl disappears, but the blue ribbon flutters into the void of the orb.
Perfect. And there's this moment where even after you like land, you feel your feet sliding as it's still just pulling you. You're not sure how the walls themselves are staying, because you're seeing as the doors are open, any specks of like dirt or any piece of earth is being pulled into this chamber, and your feet are sliding forward, and there's a moment where you're like reaching out and holding onto the doorway to make sure you're not going to fly in, and then eventually the pulsing stops and all of you kind of like fall in your respective areas, kind of like land back down. Elijah, you hear the scraping as Elijah pulls his claws from the wall, and everything is so silent your ears are ringing now.
Well, that is something. I'll get closer again, like come back in the room.
Diana is immediately worried about her duplicate and has checked out from the happenings in the room.
Question, GM. Do we now have the impression that it would be a bad idea to touch it?
I feel like that's a loaded question, because
I kind of want to touch it. I
Right,
kind of want you
like-
to touch it.
as people trying to figure out what it is, like touching it seems like it could be an important way to do that, but also it just tried to suck you into it. So you're...
I need a moment.
Now let me see. Would Raylan think it would be a good idea to touch it?
Damn
As
it, yeah,
Raylan was
Raylan would touch it.
previously
Yeah.
described, probably.
So I want to touch it and cast Identify.
Can I react to this?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
please?
You all know Raylan too, so like...
Yeah. I will, as they approach the orb, very quickly step behind you and like put a hand on your shoulder and be like, now hold your horses there. We don't know what's gonna happen if you touch it. Let's just drop something on it first, just to make sure it ain't gonna suck anything in again.
I have an idea related to that. That doesn't need to sacrifice life. Let's do that one. Please stop dying. And
I for one am okay with sacrifice, so if you want to, I mean, I can bring you back, so.
No!
Their body isn't here and sucked into the void.
Well, yeah, then it's a loss, and that really sucks, but...
Yeah, Diana's like puffed right now, like just stressed.
But if I touch it, I can cast Identify and
No
learn
one is
about
touching
it.
the orb.
True Strike. Can I try and True Strike the orb? I'm just gonna point at it. I don't have to touch it. True Strike does not involve touching things. I point at it, True Strike.
It wasn't it hostile?
Killed
so
Carrie.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Murdered
hostile
Carrie.
creature.
I
Like-
had a plan, guys.
I'm sorry.
I
We
feel
have
like
clearly not been
Diana-
working together for 17 months.
I feel like I honestly feel like it's just like this though. Like, you know,
every
we're,
time.
we're the gaggle of we're a gaggle of the most intelligent people in existence that are very dysfunctional and yet always kick ass every
Hey, it's all good. It works out in the end. Nobody dies. Sometimes people
Exactly.
die, but it's okay. Their bodies are used for great things. After.
Even
Diana and her
even the
twin
most-
are just horrified.
even the most intelligent people die.
Oh, God.
It's a
It's
part of
just a
life.
fact. So I
Yeah.
touch it.
No, ah!
I true struck it. I true struck it. It's good. We're good. Gary, what do
I'm
I?
dragging you back.
What do I?
Oh, I
some brief
touch it.
insights.
I do have a
Remind me what
question.
True Strike is. Yeah, remind me what that
Oh,
gleans.
God.
Well, okay. Honestly, I don't think this works for an object, but it was indeed hostile to us. So, I get a brief insight into the target's defenses. Does it have any? It's not helpful at all.
I'm actually choking.
I, oh.
So I think there's this long like argument of I'm gonna touch it, I'm not gonna touch it. The whole thing that I was just crying from laughing at is happening, and then you just point and true strike, and you really only understand that it's meant to consume.
Can we try my thing now? That
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Diana,
wouldn't touch
like,
it.
in tears.
I wouldn't touch it. Don't
Is-
touch it.
I don't
Is
want
Raylan-
to.
Just a quick, is Raylan being held back right now?
Yes.
Physically. Great.
Yes.
I'm going to look at Raylan and I'm going to say, have patience.
You've got one shot. One shot. Let's go.
I'm going to find familiar. I'm going to bring Twiggy back, same form. And I'm going to hold Twiggy in my arms. I'm going to go, you know I love you, right? You know how much I love you. Can you just, I need you to do a favor for me, buddy. Because if he drops to 0 hit points, he is not destroyed indefinitely. I can bring him back. So
Twiggy has trauma. I just know it.
But here's the thing, okay? I feel like I don't know anything about this kind of bird, but I'm leaning into the like birds like shiny things in our curious creatures thing. It's an orb. We all want to know what's going on with the orb. Listen, buddy. I love you so much. I have so many treats waiting for you. I just need you to do this favor for me. You're going to go into the orb. Okay? You're going to go into the orb, and I'm going to use your eyes and see if there's anything in the orb or if it's just destroying stuff. Okay? If it kills you instantly, I'm so sorry, and we'll talk about it after, okay? We will. There's going to be so much therapy, but I need you to do this for me so my friends don't die. I think Twiggy has been asked things of this nature before because everything Diana does is to make sure her friends don't die. So I feel like this is a routine. But yeah, find familiar. I'm gonna send Twiggy into the orb and then activate the thing you see out of their eyes, that thing.
Okay.
And see what happens.
So, is there anything is there anything all of you are doing to prepare for sending Twiggy into this orb?
I am walking very far away.
Yes. That.
Right.
And I will drag Raylan with me if I have to.
Yeah, that's the only way where Raylan's going. So Raylan will let themselves get dragged away.
I will
For now.
I will turn to my duplicate, who has a name, and I realize I haven't said it. I'm gonna just introduce. This is Freyr, everybody. Freyr, everybody. And I'm gonna ask him to like grab onto me and the wall in case the orb does start vacuuming again, that I don't just tumble into the abyss, because I won't be aware of it.
Perfect. So I'll say with those precautions, you won't have to make a roll. As Twiggy flies to the orb, seems to land on it, but it seems to be like a hard surface at first, but then the feet are like sinking in, and then you hear the vacuum open, and then you see a puff of feathers as Twiggy just completely disappears inside of it, and you see once again like your feet are lifting up off of the floor as this is just sucking everything into this vacuum. And then it happens for the same amount of seconds.
Do I see anything inside of the orb, or did it just kill my bird?
You'll see something.
Okay.
For a few seconds, and then as soon as that vacuum stops, your feet touch the ground again, and all of you watch as Diana's head basically like snaps upward, and her eyes roll back. Her body starts like trembling. Diana, I'm going to message you what you are receiving.
Okay. Terrifying. Thank you.
While Carrie's typing, I think Astra would have like planted herself on the wall outside, but she has like a little hand mirror that she uses to, touch ups and stuff. And she was kind of looking, and then the thing went off and it just like went flying. Well, hell, that was one of my it's fine. It's fine.
I do not like that face. Is everything okay? Twiggy.
Oh,
All right,
I'm
cool,
great.
Twiggy. Bye,
I am
Twiggy.
going to say to the rest of you, you have seen Diana in this state before, and this is different.
Oh
This
no.
This is different.
Oh no.
Where there is usually like gold, you see almost like wisps, as if like the wisps coming from the orb. And there's a moment where you hear the clunk of what you presume is Elijah's footstep, and then you realize Elijah is on the other side, and you hear a voice. And all the voice says is, "You shouldn't meddle with things you do not understand." As that voice catches your attention, you can see almost just half of a figure as it is stepping out of what looks like pure shadow. You see a mostly decayed face. You see no lips, kind of like just pulled back to expose all of the teeth, a few of them missing and rotten. You see yellowed eyes. You see no nose, more of just like slits, but more decayed than anything. You see a hood up over his head, and as he reaches up, you see long, decayed, bony fingers. As a lich steps out from the shadows. I would like you all to roll initiative, please.
Really quickly though, Raylan will slip in the no one understands anything until they've learned to understand it.
I have a question. Am I still like Matrix jacked into this thing?
You will come out of it on your turn.
Okay. I love this. I love this a lot. I like the concepts of the orb. Thank you for sharing the orb with me.
I was hoping somebody would at least get sucked in or see it somehow.
I'm very tempted to make Diana worse for the pursuit of knowledge. Don't ask. It's fine. Cass, don't worry about it.
Now I'm concerned. Hold up. Wait a
No,
minute.
don't
Whoa.
worry about it. It's fine. Isn't that what wizarding is? Just making yourself worse?
Yeah. That's what liches are.
Yeah. There we go. The wizard to lich pipeline it's just there.
You kind of feel this brush past you as Elijah takes like sprint towards it, just immediately sprinting towards it. You see he kind of goes around the orb, still not wanting to touch it, immediately gets over, and let's see how successful.
Kick his ass.
He rushes over, and you see him like go to slam the claws into the lich. You hear a piercing, and then you see the lich immediately reach over and grab onto Elijah's neck and begin lifting him up. The lich is going to use a legendary action. As he's lifting him up, you see the lich look over at all of you, and I'm gonna need you all to please make a wisdom saving throw.
That's a 23.
I got a natural one.
Oh,
That's a 21 for me. But
22 for me.
It'll be
I'm
an
going
8
to-
total.
I'm going to use. Oh, let me make sure I can do this. Because I can make you re-roll stuff.
I was gonna do that too. You want to fight for it?
Oh, I love
Go for
this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll use my convergent feature. When you or a creature you see within 60 feet of you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can use your reaction to ignore the die roll and decide whether the number rolled is the minimum needed to succeed or one number less than that. Please succeed. And I gain a level of exhaustion. So
I take it
I'm gonna
back. I don't want no one using that on me. Good God.
Nope, too late. I did it for you, Vesper.
Oh.
Exhaustion.
So do I re-roll, or is it just that I just succeed?
Auto
Cool.
succeed. Yep.
Okay, thank
let me
you.
just get my condition sheet over here. I feel like I'm gonna need it.
I feel like I should have fought for it. Mine does not make me exhausted.
No, I like the spice. Let me have the spice.
I like the spice. All right, so one level of exhaustion is disadvantage on checks and just checks, or what is that?
Just ability checks is what it has disadvantage on. Cool.
Freyr. Does Freyr have to roll as well?
That's a natural 20.
All right.
Does it matter?
No.
Cool.
Yeah, DC is 20, so we're good to go. Because you feel this moment as he kind of looks over and the glance spreads over all of you. You recognize what is happening. It's this layer of fear that is sweeping over the area. But you know what you're dealing with. And all of you just kind of, there's like no emotion to it whatsoever. You're like, yeah, okay, good try. And that is Elijah's turn. So, Raylan, you are up.
Oh, okay, yeah, me? Sick. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Acid Arrow, which is just acid damage. So the piercing and stuff, I think that it usually has resistance to shouldn't be an issue because it's just acid damage, so I have to roll to hit. That'll be that's a nice plus. Does a 28 hit?
Yes.
Fantastic. Great. Okay, so then that's going to be 6d4 acid damage. I once again forgot that dice exist. Oh no. I have so many d4 and I can't see any of them right now. Okay. That is 15 acid damage to the little man. It's a shimmering, sickly green arrow that oddly has some like pretty yellow sparkles around it. That just shoots straight for the creature and sizzles with impact, just kind of bursts into like a liquid form.
And I think, like, as it flies in, you see it almost, like, curve around the orb as well, and then just slam into his chest. And you kind of hear it just sizzling a little bit. You see it, like, eating at the clothing, almost like clothing that has been eaten by, like, moths. Just slowly kind of eating it away.
Yeah, and then with my bonus action, how far away am I distance from this thing? Would you say approximately?
Did you kind of step into the room, or are you still casting this from outside of the room?
I would say that I'm like half in, half out of the room at this current point.
Okay. You're probably about 30 feet away.
Great. I'm going to use my bonus action phase step 30 feet back to make it like a 60-foot range.
Perfect.
However, when I phase step, within 5 feet. Okay, never mind. There's no creatures I want to hurt within 5 feet, so just gonna phase step back, yeah.
All right. Now you see with like holding Elijah by the throat, just kind of like pulls a hand back and throws, and you see Elijah's claws just like rip out of his chest. He throws Elijah. You hear the crack as he slams into the rock and stone, and Elijah kind of crumples down for a moment. You can see, like, still trying to get back up, but whatever... You're smart enough to realize, like, Elijah has experienced something with this contact and is still struggling from it and trying to get up off the ground. And with that... the Lich is going to turn and see the two other people in the room, Diana and Freyr, and is going to... Let's see.
No, not the twins. No, don't do this. Mr. Lichman, please.
So you see the arm come up and the long finger kind of point in your direction, almost in this, like, playful is the wrong word, but mocking may be the better word. Almost looks like he's doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo to the two of you as the finger moves from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And I am actually going to roll to see which one of you he targets. A 1 or a 2 will be Diana. A 3 or a 4 will be Freyr. That's a 1. So, he stops on Diana, and I'm going to need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
I sure can absolutely do that one. Oh, I dropped it. Oh, I dropped it again. I need to stop rolling on a slanted surface, and I'm gonna roll over here. I'm so stressed. That's a 13 plus. Where's my modifier? It's a saving throw, right?
Yeah.
16.
Um,
Don't like that.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you did that, didn't you?
Is this a spell?
It is.
Can I counterspell it?
What level?
Oh, I didn't know that this had a level thing. I don't know what counterspell does.
So I'm pretty sure Counterspell's 4th level. Am I right there?
Yeah.
I wrote it down, but I didn't look at what it does.
You gotta
So-
meet the level of the spell hitting you, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Or
So you'll
roll.
have to. You'll have to roll then because this spell is higher than 4th level.
Because Freyr is a duplicate of me, Freyr is able to cast spells out of the repertoire I have. He cannot regain any expended spell slots, but he has all of my abilities. Can I have Freyr cast the counterspell instead of me if he sees it happening?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay, because it doesn't say in the spell, like, it does not specifically say that we share the same ability pool. Like, he has his own, and it's just duplicated off of mine, but he just runs out when he runs out. And if he has half of my health, so he'll die easy. But, so if I can, I'll have him counterspell instead, and I will cast it at 6th level.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna say for dramatic purposes, this is like a last minute sort of, like, you weren't prepared to counterspell this at all. Like, Diana had no intention, like, it was just a blank. As you see the finger, like, you see the Lich decide which one of you he's choosing, and you see this almost like, it almost mimics the nothingness of the orb itself. Like, it's not black, it's just nothing. It's colorless, it's matterless almost. You see, like, these wisps come from his fingertip, and then you see them immediately fly towards you. And there's a moment where one of these wisps, they're going to slam into your chest, and you see almost like, you see Freyr's hand come out right in front of you, and just like an inch before his hand, you see the wisp stop and splat almost on the counter spell, and then it kind of like slides down and drips onto the floor. And as it's dripping onto pieces of the floor, you see parts of the stone disintegrating into dust.
That makes me nervous.
And you see what is this just gnarled looking face turn into, like, the eyebrows kind of pull in, and the face kind of comes down a little bit in disgust, and then turns and looks at Freyr.
No, don't do that. Leave him alone. He's just a little boy. He's so
And now
innocent.
it's your turn.
Oh, thank God. Okay. First of all, little narrative moment. Diana looks like she might cry again. That's kind of her default, but she looks like she might cry because although she knows on paper what the spell does, seeing this copy, this twin of hers, exert its own will is an emotional moment for her because she wasn't entirely sure he would ever be himself again. She's aware of the double kind of that's not really him, but you know, it's convincing enough for her. Okay, it's her turn. And now I have a question that I've never gotten to ask in my entire D&D career, but I'm so excited to ask you. Are we all outside of fireball range? I have never played a character with fireball, I think. I am 98% sure.
So
Fireball. I'm going to pull up the spell.
I'm out of range.
Well, Elijah might be, and Elijah's a vampire,
Yeah.
and gonna go up like a little tinderbox.
I
But
would
do
say
we care?
I have a
I will
contingency
say-
plan.
I will say you're not sure if Elijah would be close because he did throw him like into the wall. It's gonna be close, but you're not 100% sure if
It's a-
Elijah is still in range.
Okay. So it's a 20-foot radius sphere centered on that point. Can I finagle it to try and, as best as I can tell, keep him outside of the range? Because I don't want to kill him.
I would say yeah. If you're intentionally wanting to like avoid that in particular, you can kind of turn and more aim towards like the wall of the structure itself and kind of explode it out that way.
Yeah, I'm most interested about capturing the Lich and as much damage as physically possible.
Perfect. So I need to make a dex save, right?
Yeah, dexterity saving throw. And I get to roll an absurd amount of damage.
Because it still deals half damage if I succeed, right?
Yes, and you know what? Just as a treat, I'm gonna upcast it. I'm gonna cast it at. You know what? Do I need any of these? That's actually pretty good. I'm gonna cast it at 5th level. Yeah, so it's 2 more d6s.
Sweet.
Rolling fireball damage with physical dice is like the best feeling.
I've
Yeah.
never
World.
done it before. I'm so excited. Hold on, we gotta get the sound.
Hell yeah. It's like almost as satisfying as rolling dragon breath.
Yeah, you would know all about that, wouldn't you, Carrie?
Mm-hmm.
That's 28 fire damage. Not fantastic.
So it's half that because he succeeded.
Yes it is. My ire is not directed at you. That's I love you so much. I want to smash this lich comically so. That's my action. As a bonus action, I don't super have bonus actions, do I? I don't super have bonus actions. Oh no. I'm so used to having characters with bonus actions. Oh no.
Oh, no.
I probably have something I can do, but because I can't find it and I don't want to hold up turn order, I won't do that.
Okay. So yeah, like that fireball itself hits the wall and you see it like cascade down because it's in this dome. You see this flame almost like explode outward and slam into the lich's back. You can see pieces of the clothing kind of like spraying off in a sense as it's like burning. You can see the flesh kind of burning away on a shoulder. But you can see the just gnarled hand kind of come up and smack the flames and stuff them out a little sooner than you would have preferred.
Fair enough. I'm gonna double check the wording of the spell that brought Freyr into this world just to make sure he can cast spells. Is pretty sure that is what I read, but I just want to confirm. Moving and acting in accordance to your wishes and acting on your turn in combat. Yeah, okay, we're good. You know, sometimes summoning spells, it's like they can't attack anything.
Yeah.
It can take actions and otherwise be affected as a normal creature. Okay, cool. Freyr does go on my turn, but I don't know if he gets action and a bonus action. I don't know. It doesn't say. So I will leave that up to you.
Yeah, I think especially since the like reaction was a high level spell, I think maybe kind of giving up that turn for
Works. That's
this
good.
time. Cool. Okay, next up we have Astra. I'm gonna put the order in chat too.
All right, so Astra has pulled out her wand, and she kind of draws it up herself and over her head. And those of you that are outside see around her head appear, similar to the bedazzled ear cuffs that she wears, a silver crown with almost diamond sparkles appears. And I'm casting Crown of Stars, which are motes of light that orbit, that I can use with a bonus action, which I will, to throw it at a creature. So she pulls it and then it connects itself to the end of her wand and she just kind of flicks it in to the room. And I'm going to make a ranged spell attack to hit him with some radiant damage. It is a spell attack. Yeah. So let's make sure that I extract that spell slot off. That's a why did that roll that way? That's a 19.
19 hits.
Yes. Hallelujah. All right. So 4d12 radiant damage comes out to 21.
Fantastic.
And there's also bright light radiating from me as well, and dim light after 30 feet. And that's my turn.
I think we like follow it as it flicks off the wand. We follow it like almost like missile style, like right behind it where we can see like the light trail that it's making as it too like goes around the orb itself and then slams into the creature, having just been slammed into from the back from the fire, and then the radiant damage like slams into the chest and you see him like stumble backwards a little bit. You can see pieces of like the rib cage beginning to expose itself behind the flesh. Fantastic. Great, Vesper, you're up.
Cool. I'm going to walk back into the room and stay a good long ways away from this lich. And I am going to take out a little piece of bone shard and some thread, and I'm gonna like tie the thread to the bone to make it look like a little collar. And then I'm gonna throw the collar up, and as I do, I'm going to procure a whistle and whistle into it. And you watch as there's this sort of like misty black shadow that appears, and then as soon as the sort of collar hits like a reasonable like dog neck size area, you see this hellhound appear basically. As I am casting Mordecai's Faithful Hound. And I am just going to look at the dog. I'm going to pull out the whistle and be like, okay, good boy. Now go attack him. And I'm just going to point towards the lich.
I love him.
Yeah, he's very cute. Yeah, he's a little hell puppy. I don't think he can attack right now because it says at the start of each of my turns, but he's there. So he's going to sort of growl. I will also say, there are a couple things about this hound. He's invisible to everybody, I'm realizing. So no one actually sees him. You just see me talking to thin air. When a smaller, larger creature comes within 30 feet of it without first speaking the password that you specify when you cast the spell, the hound starts barking loudly. The password you hear in your minds, I just go, the password is good boy. And just say that if you suddenly hear barking. And then it can see invisible creatures and can see into the ethereal plane. It also ignores illusions. So, it's a good boy.
You all hear the vacuum beginning to open. And as soon as it begins to do so, you feel that familiar beginning pull. Everyone make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Can I just say, I did not at any point say I was going back in the room. I just kind of ducked around.
I face stepped out.
Yeah, Raylan's not in the room. Yeah, neither of you two are in the room. Everyone else is in range of it, though.
I have an 18 for me and a dirty 20 for Freyr.
Okay.
Trying to figure out whether or not this hound has to roll. I'm going to assume yes, so I'll just roll and add. Yeah, my spell casting. Ooh, that's a natural 20 for me.
Nice.
Then the hound is a total of what is that 19? Yeah.
Okay. So with Vesper and Freyr succeeding, if you would like, you can make a luck roll to see if you can catch your companions. Companions being Diana and Puppy Dog.
Freyr, you love me so much. don't let me down, Freyr. Come on.
What do we have to exceed for a luck roll?
11 or higher.
11 or higher.
Okay. That doesn't succeed. I got a 10.
I got an 11.
Just got this little puppy.
I can't see your dog, so I don't know.
It's just a collar. Just
Oh.
poor thing.
So you hear this vacuum opening again. What does it look like when Freyr is able to like save Diana?
I imagine Diana is so focused on like the lich that she doesn't even notice the orb starting to power up again. And Freyr just grabs her from behind, like around the waist, and like backs up into the wall and kind of digs his talons into the wall behind them, and is just holding her like this. So her arms are free to like flip through her sketchbook, spell book, and like prepare, but he's holding her as tight as he can.
Fantastic. And I think there's this moment, Vesper, that you're understanding that as this hellhound is being pulled into this void, you see a smile on the lich's face.
That son of a bitch.
The lich seems to
Stinky.
understand what was here and what it was capable of.
I'm gonna flip him off.
This guy's vibes are rancid.
And the lich itself, you see the clothes moving, but the lich is perfectly still. Not affected by this orb whatsoever. Elijah, on the other hand, you see Elijah laying prone on the floor. As soon as this begins sliding towards the orb itself, you see Last Minute is able to slam both hands' claws into the floor. You hear a scraping. You actually see like one of the boots touch the orb. And then before you can kind of like see what would have happened, it stops and everybody falls back down onto the floor itself. Those of you outside, you see every piece of anything that is not connected to the ground just being pulled in. Even things from as far back as you are, Raylan. You can see it's moving slowly, but you can see things being pulled towards this orb every time it's activated. And that is the orb's turn. So.
You mean to tell me the orb gets its own fucking turn?
Okay.
Freyr doesn't even get his own turn, and the orb gets a turn. I see how it is.
Standing outside, I let me know if you want me to leave this to my turn, but what would I have any inkling if this is a phylactery that is doing this stuff, or if this is different from a phylactery?
I would say for what it is used for, it seems to be different than a phylactery, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't also be the phylactery, but you feel like it's not connected in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a follow-up to Astra's thing. Knowing that about liches, can Diana, like, whether it's perception, investigation, arcana, anything like that, but can Diana tell if this lich does have a phylactery that's active? Like, is there anything physically different that would indicate this thing has a container, Tupperware somewhere to run to, or is it, if we hit it, if it's gone? Not necessarily where it is, but just if it exists. I don't need to know everything, even though I want to.
Make an Arcana roll. If you just want to kind of know if it exists, make an Arcana roll.
Yeah, I want to diagnose it and see if it's connected to a phylactery or not. Okay. Character sheet, Arcana. Hey, I'm good at that. That's a 22.
Okay, this particular lich looks old and powerful, and you would imagine with the level of decay you're seeing on this creature, it has to have a phylactery.
Okay.
Like, it has to exist somewhere.
Okay. That is helpful.
All right.
Thank you.
And that was round 1. So, back up to the top. You see Elijah, like, struggle to pull himself away from the orb itself. And as he is doing so, you're seeing pieces of the boot not quite disintegrating in the sense of like turning to dust, but disintegrating in the sense of disappearing. The piece of the boot that touched the orb itself is just gone. You can see it's taken a good portion of Elijah's foot. As he is scooting away and kind of rolling over and looking down, he doesn't appear to be in pain. It's just not there. And let me make a roll. Let's see. Elijah is able to kind of scoot away from this orb, kind of look up at the lich, and you see him touching like the ring on his finger once again, but that is his turn. Raylan, you are up.
Okay, I am about to make some choices. So, I am going to, at 8th level, cast Feeble Mind. Now, I will start by explaining what Feeble Mind does, for anybody who may not know. I blast the mind of a creature that I can see within range 150 feet, attempting to shatter its intellect and personality. The target takes 4d6 psychic damage and must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature's intelligence and charisma scores become 1. The creature can't cast spells, activate magic items, understand language, or communicate in any intelligent way. The creature can, however, find and identify its friends, follow them, and protect them. At the end of 30 days, they can repeat the saving throw against the spell. If they succeed, it ends. It can also be ended by greater restoration, heal, or wish. Now, this is listed as only a debuff, not a charm, not any of those other things that a lich is usually immune to, so I should be able to cast it. Now, I have the reaction of my convergent feature when I see a target make an ability throw or saving throw, and I can decide to make it fail. I will see this creature have to make the save, and I will use my convergent feature and take a 2nd level of exhaustion to make sure that it fails and gets hit with Feeble Mind.
Yeah, but it's gonna use a legendary action, or a legendary resistance to then succeed.
Dang it! Oh my god, it's so good!
The
And I
DM in me
love
was
it.
just like, just sighing and waiting.
I know,
Yeah.
but if you
But
don't
hey, you
try...
You just burned one of his legendary resistances, so there is that.
Yep. Yep, it had to get burnt somehow, you know, and with me, that's an extra level of exhaustion.
Oof. I think the way does that spell look any certain way as you are casting it onto him?
It actually would be very insidiously unseen. There wouldn't be anything to see except for perhaps the faintest wisp of like a white smoke between the two. Whereas the convergent feature has more of a very distinct like twisting of the hand and what looks like a D20 with no numbers on it. Just, you know, the dodecahedron thingy just swirling in her hand, an arcane version of it.
So I think like this little white mist almost is pretty much invisible until it reaches like the area around the lich, and then you see as he's waving his hands, and it like turns into this completely white fog. It almost looks like he's holding on to this cloud, and then you see him compress it and just shove it back at you, slams into you for that extra level of exhaustion there. Damn. Okay. Damn,
that was
now
epic. I love that.
Woo!
That's so good.
And after your turn is going to use a legendary action to snap his fingers and activate the orb again. So I need everyone inside of here to make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Great. Oh, I'm not in there. I'm still outside, so I'm good, right?
Yeah, you're good.
I cast from far away, so...
Everyone, please manifest that I stop dropping my dice, because it's honestly getting embarrassing. I rolled on a flat surface, and it's dark, and I can't... I found it, never mind. Sorry. I'm good.
Moment's there. It's over now.
Natural 20 for Diana. Well, that's not good.
Before Vesper says anything, can I be kind of peeking in the room? Like, I'm not hiding behind the wall, but like far enough away that I can still... Or do I have to be kind of behind the wall to not be impacted by the sucking? Because my range on my thing is 120 feet. So, like...
Yeah, I would say you could probably be like holding onto the door frame, like the doorway itself, to keep yourself steady. Yeah, I would say that's totally fine.
Yeah, because if I see Vesper struggling, I will cast Chronal Shift as a reaction.
I rolled a 14, so I'm struggling.
Great. I see that happen, and you just see Astra reach into the room and yank you back, and you can re-roll.
Okay.
It's not the automatic success, but it's a re-roll.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
trust
scared. I'm
any-
scared of all your dice.
Freyr got a 7 total. So I'm gonna use one of my portent feature rolls. Basically, at the start of a day after a long rest, I get to roll 3d20s and then write those numbers down. And later, I can choose to replace any roll with those numbers out of my pool, and I lose them after a long rest. So each once per day. I did happen to roll a quiet natural 20. I have one, so I'm going to use that because I know this is high for Freyr since Vesper is covered, because I was gonna use it on Vesper, but
Perfect.
y'all have your bestie thing going on. You guys are doing great.
Vesper, what is your second roll?
So I rolled a 19 on the die, but I get to add my dexterity saving throw, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 20.
Perfect. A
It is
20
a
is what
20.
you need to succeed this, so that is absolutely...
I'm sweating over here. I hate this orb.
Yeah, so as soon as this starts again, you've recognized the sound. There's like this audio cue before it actually starts pulling you in, and all of you kind of turn to do all of these actions beforehand. You hear Elijah's claws pierce the thing again. Elijah's like, "Fucking, I'm not going back in there. That took my foot. I'm not going over there." Everybody's bracing themselves, and then you see as soon as it lets go, it's immediately the Lich's turn, and we are going to. Yeah.
Can we like talk like in between rounds and stuff,
Yeah.
like say things? Okay.
Yeah, you can shout a few things.
Oh yeah.
Wait, are we telepathically bonded still?
Oh, we're still telepathically bonded. Okay, I'm gonna look up at Astra after she like is able to like help me, and I'm gonna be like, we need to destroy the orb. It's clearly like connected to him in some way.
But is there... Oh my brain is going a million miles per hour. Okay.
As the Lich then begins taking a couple of steps forward, he raises up his hands, and you see out of like the drape of the long sleeves from his cloaks, you see this poisonous fog beginning to roll out, and it's immediately filling the area and seeping out farther. This is a 120-foot radius, so this is going to affect everyone.
Great.
I'm gonna need you all to make a.
Is that a spell?
It is.
Sick. Cool. I will counter spell at 7th level.
All right. I'm gonna cast counterspell at 9th level.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. Fair.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Listen,
I was gonna also counterspell, but I was like, but I want to save my 9th level for something.
If every wizard fight doesn't end up with a counterspell
right,
situation, but
Cool.
fair. Okay, yeah.
Everyone, please make a Constitution saving throw.
Sick. Love that for me. Oh, maybe okay. Actually,
My wizard is beefy.
okay. That's a 21.
It's also
Okay.
21. We need to stop twinning.
13.
Oof.
I got a natural 1. I'm so done with my dice. I am very done. They're all
That's
going
enough.
Carrie, I have a question.
Natural ones are really bad in my D&D games.
Okay.
Carrie,
Alright.
can I attempt to save Vesper's life?
It's okay. No, you don't need to save me. It's fine.
No, I do.
I'm
though.
already dead. It's okay.
I'm very attached to Vesper, and I feel like Carrie's about to pull out an insane amount of dice.
If that was a natural 1, and if Diana can't save Vesper, I will use my convergent feature and take a 3rd level.
No.
of exhaustion.
You will not.
Absolutely not.
No, you quite literally cannot stop me.
I know, but I'm saying it sternly anyway.
But Diana, you try your thing first.
I have this is a crackpotless plan here, Carrie. So I have a question that I might not be able to get an answer to that relates to if I can save Vesper's life, right? So I don't know how to ask this in character. So mechanically, I know there's a DC for this that needs to be hit. And I have 2 portent rolls left, and I can give one to Vesper to automatically succeed this because I've rolled really high. But if the DC is a 20 or above, then I'm going to be wasting it. So is there any way that I can figure out if it would be a waste to use it, or do I just burn it and see what happens?
So, normal GMs would tell you to burn it.
I just don't want Vesper to get smushed.
I am telling you, all of the Lich's spell save DCs are 20.
Yeah. That's not gonna work.
I'll
just take it.
Question.
Whatever it is, I'll take it. I have a lot of hit points.
Wait, I have a follow-up question. It might be fine. Because I feel like this is gonna be bad. I feel it in my bones. It's gonna be bad. I have a follow-up question. So for the portent ability, right? I roll these things at the beginning of the day and then I store them. I can replace any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check made by me or a creature that I can see with one of these rolls. I don't know if that means like that is the number, or am I replacing the number on the die and they get to add a modifier? I don't know. It just says replace the roll, so I don't know.
I think it would probably just replace like the whole
the
thing.
number. Okay.
Yeah.
I have so many 19s. I have a 19. And
It's okay.
Vesper,
okay.
how many hit points do you have?
I'm taking my 3rd level in exhaustion to use my convergent to make sure that Vesper succeeds.
I have
Okay.
137 hit points.
I have hit the 3rd level of exhaustion button already on my character
Oh
sheet.
my god.
Do I do something stupid?
That was a natural 1. That Carrie asked how many hit points you had because
Alright.
Carrie already knew the obliteration that was about to.
Oh, okay.
If Carrie warns you willingly,
This is true. This is true. All right.
like Carrie pretends I'm not an evil GM, and then like when the actual warning happens is when you've got to heed it. 3rd level exhaustion's really not that bad. Speed halved for 2nd level, don't care. Like, you know, it's all good.
Carrie, how much did you roll?
So
Oh,
that means everyone succeeded, right?
Yes.
You all got a 20. No.
Oh.
Okay, so
Oh, right.
I did and Freya did.
okay, a
I
success. A success, you're gonna take 25 points of poison damage. A fail, you're going to take 50 points of poison damage. A crit would have made that 100 points of poison damage. So it is good that you have instead succeeded. So yeah, 50 points of poison damage to the fail and 25 for those that succeeded. As this poison fog is just filling this entire island. Is that the best term to use for this? I'm not sure.
So who-
landmass.
I'm sorry. Who failed? You did.
It's me.
Okay. Okay.
Elijah also failed, but I forgot to roll for him, so I did now. And he failed. Hello, Luna. I love you. I hear you purring right in my ear. You can't hear her, can you?
Mm-mm.
Good.
I
No.
wish.
If
Okay.
only.
That was the Lich's turn. Diana, you are up.
I didn't think I would be going so soon. Okay. You think I would read the initiative order, but you would be mistaken. So okay. We have to get rid of the orb. Okay. I'm so sorry. I had 2 scenarios set up for this. And I'm trying to decide which would be a better risk to take. And I think I have decided, but I need to ask you how big this room is before I do that.
This room itself is, I think, like 30 feet. Isn't that what I said? Whoever was at the door, they were asking how far they were from the Lich. Yeah, so like
Okay.
probably more closer to 40 feet away, but, or 40 feet around, but.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try something here, and I'm gonna telepathically, because we have this instantaneous bond, I'm gonna say to everyone, please have a counter spell ready in case he tries to stop me. And
Ready?
Diana is going to scream, and it is this shrill bird call, and you watch the gold that tips almost all of her feathers and is now running more through her feathers as she's been casting spell. All of it ignites into flame, and as she continues to scream, Freyr's image kind of like melts a bit and then starts to reconstitute. All of the shadows in the room begin to coalesce, and much like the summoning of the Hellhound earlier, all of them shift and mold into a huge shadowy dragon in an unoccupied space that I can see within range because I'm casting Illusory Dragon at 8th level.
Hell yeah.
The illusion lasts for the spell's duration and occupies its space as if it were a creature. Any of your enemies that can see it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of it for 1 minute. And I have bonus action shenanigans I will be doing, but I want to hear the saving throw first.
I failed the saving throw.
Yes. Okay. So cool. The lich is gonna suck then. This is exciting. So that's my action, is to bring it into existence. Bonus action, I am going to move it so that it's going to breathe stuff. I'm going to move it so the cone doesn't catch any of my allies if possible. And I'm going to, I have to pick a type, and I have to take a guess about what it's not resistant to. I'm gonna go with fire. I feel like fire is good for this. So it's gonna use its breath weapon. Creature in the cone, it's an intelligence saving throw.
Okay.
For this, because it's an illusion. But it is half damage on a fail. Sorry, on a succeed.
Okay,
Success.
that'll be half damage then. I got a 22.
Okay, 2, 4, 6. I need one more d6.
Yeah, these
6.
little lich jerks are real smart.
I know they're smart, but it's still something for the saber suck. Is actually really nice.
No, it's super cool.
And it's really hard to get rid of it. Okay, so that's still 6, 12, 18, 9. No, 18 plus 3 is 21. Yes. 25, 27 points of fire damage. So half of that. Try to make sure there's anything else. Okay. Yeah. Did it succeed the saving throw?
It did, yes.
Okay.
Is that
Sorry,
a
I'm-
cat?
Oh no, that's my dog.
Okay,
He's basically a cat.
Okay. I just saw Carrie look back and I was like, are you looking at a cat making this?
No, that's my dog Milo. He's a tiny little Maltese with a lot of spunk.
Aww.
And he assumes every creature outside of this house is going to attempt to kill us, and so he must yell at it.
Fair enough.
Which is why I'm unconcerned, because a leaf probably turned over in the yard and he's like having a fit about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked about the saving throw, but I realized there's a separate saving throw on its turn.
Okay.
On its turn, the Lich can use an action to examine the dragon and determine it's an illusion. If it succeeds on the intelligence check against my save DC, if it does succeed, it gets advantage on the saving throws against the breath.
Okay.
So just so you know that. That's
Gotcha.
my turn. Freyr's turn, question mark?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So Freyr's going to cast Shadow Blade.
That sounds fun.
It's very fun. It's one of my favorite spells because it's very emo. So Shadow Blade. Freyr's going to reach his hand question mark out and I don't know, birds, man. Wing, and shadows will pull off of the back of the dragon and coalesce in Freyr's grip to form a sword of solidified gloom. It's a simple melee weapon with which you are proficient. We'll make it a sword. It deals 2d8 psychic damage. I'm gonna upcast it as a 4th level slot to make it 3d8. It has finesse, light, and thrown properties, and in addition, when you use the sword to attack a target that's in dim or light or darkness, you make it with advantage, the attack roll. I don't know if that counts here. Dim light or darkness? Question mark. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't.
I have my lights.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
And I think
okay.
there are lights up also. But
we're good. It's 3d8.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So because it's thrown and I can resummon it, that's part of it, which is why I cast a spell. If I drop the weapon or throw it, it dissipates at the end of the turn. But as long as I have the spell still going, it lasts for a minute. As long as the spell is still going, it reappears in my hand.
Sweet.
So as a bonus action. So that will be Freyr's turn, is to throw this sword and then to summon it back.
All right.
Where is my d20? I just had it in my hand. I found it. We're good. I'm so sorry. That's not great. Is this how do I make an attack roll for that? Oh wait. If it's a simple weapon, do I use the simple weapon attack bonus? I don't have any of that written down.
It should be, I think, your dex.
Okay.
And then if you're proficient, your proficiency bonus.
It says I'm proficient. It counts as a simple weapon with which I'm proficient. So
Yeah.
that's 16 on the die plus 6 is 22.
Yeah, that will hit.
25 my dex. I just want to feel good about myself. So I'm gonna throw it, and then damage is 38. I'm so sorry. I'm taking like forever on this
No,
guy.
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh. You'd think having compartments in your dice bag would make life easier, but I actually don't know where anything is.
I know you
One.
check every compartment, and none of them are right. And
Yep. No, I dropped the die. Oh, God damn it. It's fine. Okay. This is 3. So that's 7. Why are you in the abyss? That's 12. 20 points of what kind of damage? Psychic damage. And then bonus action, summon it back into, yeah.
perfect. Okay. Astra, you're up.
All right. Just waiting for whatever the fuck was going on your in that expression. Okay. So outside, Raylan will have seen Astra go to pull out a little metal box, and then she sees the dragon and goes, "No, that would have been boring." Instead, compared to the dragon, instead, she pulls out a and she doesn't touch it. She just kind of magics it out, a small crystal prism, and throws it at the Lich and casts Reality Break, which shatters the barriers between realities and timelines, and they have to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Interesting.
And if they succeed, I will make them re-roll it. DC 18.
I got a 19. You said
Reroll it.
18.
Yeah.
Reroll it.
Yep.
I got a 21.
Shit. All right. Disappointing. Let me just triple check. I don't think. Yeah, no, it's a save or suck. Or you know what I mean.
I love that phrase now. Just save or suck. Sucks.
Yeah, it's a good. Okay, so that didn't work, which was tragic. But I still have my bonus action where I will throw another star.
Okay.
So that is going to be. Come on, dice, don't fuck me. 24.
Yeah, that'll
Beautiful. And 35 points of radiant damage. So she throws this crystal mote at the Lich, which she probably bats off, I can only assume, because Lich. But immediately behind it is a diamond of light that just on his chest. And then I return to my position behind the wall.
Perfect. I think there's this moment where anyone who wants to see, like, as that first spell was flying past the orb, you almost see, like, in a way, it seems like they reach for each other, almost. You see these cracks and these weird refractions, almost like you see 100 mirror-like shards in on each other for just a moment, and then it flies past and dissipates, and then that second one comes in and that blinding light hits. Fantastic. Is that your turn? Great. Vesper, you are up.
Cool. I'm gonna do I have to like do anything if I get up close and the dragon's like nearby? Is there anything that I have to be worried about, or am I good with the dragon?
Liz, I think that's a question for you.
Totally
I'm
is.
good.
Zoned
Cool.
out, zoned back in.
No, it's okay. Mood.
No.
Um,
No, it is completely allied to us because I don't consider you an
Cool.
enemy. It's not going to attack you. It's under my control.
Don't know why that went out of focus. Okay. I'm going to run up to the lich. And I am just going, as I am, I'm literally gonna be like, I brought that dog into existence for a total of 10 seconds and you got rid of it. So consider this a curse, and I'm going to touch my hand and bestow a curse upon him. He must, he needs to make a wisdom saving throw.
It's a 27.
Oh, fuck me. God.
Question.
Okay.
Would I know what Vesper's curses are and how powerful they are? If it's like a big deal?
It's a big deal. It's going to help us on a couple of things.
I will use my convergent feature to make him fail.
Okay.
You will use his legendary resistance to succeed, but that's 2 down, so
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. I'm gonna, as a bonus action, Misty step out of the way. Misty step back to where I was.
I was about to
Cool.
like yell at you in your mind, like get out of
Yeah,
there.
Get the
yeah.
fuck
No,
out of
I'm
there.
smart. I'm smart.
what is
It's
that?
good.
What does Vesper's Misty Step look like?
I literally, as this happens and I recognize that it's like not working and like my like it kind of fritzes out in my hand, I'm kind of like, I look at him and I'm be like, okay, and I'm just gonna put my hand back and you watch as like this skeletal like black like sort of like blackish mist like hand comes and just grabs me, and I just am Misty stepped and it sets me down.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Where does it set you down?
Where I was previously,
you?
which was near the door.
Near the door, okay. Because it's the orb's turn.
God damn it.
Okay, GM, I have a question,
Yes.
right? So, if I had reaction spells upon seeing what is listed as a creature start to attack or do a spell, does this orb count, or can I not use that reaction spell because it's an orb?
This is not a spell, so unless you had any other sort of reaction that you'd like to try, this is not a spell, so nothing like that will work.
Okay, so it says taken when a creature you can see makes an attack roll or starts to cast a spell.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, that's all. You know, you got
Angry wizard
this.
screaming.
Yeah, literally, angry wizard screaming could be my bio on every social media platform only.
Yeah, yeah.
The twins both got 21s, which I think is adorable.
Super cute.
I got a 12.
Okay, I have a solution to that. Nobody burn anything. No more exhaustion points.
Please don't. Also, like, I'll take it. I'll take one for the team.
Oh yeah, no, I'm holding out now. At 3 we're on hold for a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Elijah rolled a natural 20, so I'm going to make that luck roll to see if he can help Vesper, which is an 11. So we can barely help Vesper. I think there's this moment where as soon as this orb begins to activate again and all of you feel this like pull inward, Vesper, you had just landed, so you didn't have enough time to like orient yourself, and it's this immediate just lurch forward. And as you are flying forward, you see Elijah had stuck his claws into the wall, sees you like falling forward, and immediately like you see him like scan the area, push off instead of just let go. So he's like flying full speed towards you in almost this tackle as he then slams into you. It hurts. And both of you tumble and slam into that next wall where he then slams his claws into that one. It looked like, from anybody watching, it looked like Elijah just fucking attacked Vesper. Like, Elijah's like, I'm gonna kill you. That's what it looked like. It looked very aggressive, but has just slammed into the wall on the other side, and then eventually everyone falls back down to their own feet as the orb falls still again.
So the dragon automatically succeeds all saving throws
Cool.
because it doesn't really exist. So it slow swivels its head towards Elijah and just kind of opens its mouth a little bit, and like some energy gathers in its mouth like a threat. Like, I'm watching you, buddy. Attacking my friend. Right, exactly. I might be small and stressed, but this dragon is not. And just, it'll turn its head back towards the lich.
I think you just hear Elijah, probably Vesper's the only one that hears Elijah say, "Good puppy," as like this just a little joke.
You just hear Vesper as soon as they fall down. Like, Vesper just goes, "I'm sorry I keep being a problem with this orb. I'm trying."
Just like this resigned, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't think
Back
I've
up.
succeeded once on my own, so...
Back up to the top, it's actually Elijah's turn. You see, now that he is like fully kind of like snapped back into whatever it is that the lich did to him before, rips the claws from the wall, and is going to full sprint at the lich again. Didn't learn his lesson, apparently. Well, listen, vampires are very limited on what they can do in this world. So, you see Elijah sprint kind of like around this dragon, even though it's like, it's an illusion, so he could probably move through it, but it's just like habit. It's there, and we're moving around it.
Actually, on that note, can I instantaneous mind blast and say, do not run through it, because the lich doesn't know it's an illusion yet.
That's fair. He's probably like sprinting to run through it, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
So I think there's this moment, hearing that, I think he actually is like too close to turn. So you see him just go down in a slide, like underneath one of the wings, stands back up and immediately lunges and just bites down into the lich's neck. You hear flesh rip and like tear outward. Instead of blood spattering, you see this like blackened, almost like, it looks like a putty. Like it's like coagulated and just thick, spattering outward. And you see it just like spread all over Elijah's mouth now too, and you see full fangs have shown themselves as he is standing there. Let me roll that damage.
Fascinating.
Okay. Great. Raylan, you're up.
Right. So, because my speed is halved, we're gonna bonus action phase step 30 feet forward to get me within 30 feet of, well, back 30 feet. Now, where's the orb from this? I was 60 feet away from the lich. Now I am 30 feet away from the lich. So where's the orb at?
The orb is like 15 feet in front of you.
15 feet in front of me. Excellent. So, that was my bonus action. My action, I am going to try and cast Steel Wind Strike against the orb. Now, I have to make a spell attack roll against it, and I'm doing that at disadvantage because I have to. But at disadvantage, that is a 22 total. Does that hit the orb?
That does.
So, what Steel Wind Strike does is I flourish my little quarterstaff that I use to cast, and I vanish. I just teleport within 5 feet of teleport to unoccupied space, 5 feet within the target, and I whack it with my quarterstaff for 6d10 force damage, which I will roll. Where did I just put all those d10 I pulled out? Just in case these. 39 points of force damage to the orb, and just imagine like a batter coming up like with a wooden quarterstaff just going boing, like right at the orb, with what you can see and hear as a giant gust of wind powering it forward.
And as that is happening, Raylan, I need you to choose. I need you to make either a Constitution saving throw or a Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom, and it will be at disadvantage. Okay. I need to learn how to do math. That's a 17.
Okay.
It would have been a really good roll if it wasn't at disadvantage, I'll tell you that.
You are going to take 19 points of the damage you just dealt. You feel like it's not taking away from the damage you've done to the orb. It's almost like reflecting it back to you. The orb's still taking that damage, but you feel some of it come back and kind of take you over for a moment.
Okay. Yep, and that's my turn, and I am still within 5 feet of the orb, so.
Okay.
Because I used my bonus action to get there, so.
Fantastic. Tis the Lich's turn. And the Lich is, first of all, immune to being frightened. So it is not frightened of this dragon. I actually... So if something has true sight, would it be able to see that is not that is an illusion, like, immediately?
I don't know, but I can tell you right now. Google is up and happening. True sight. And yeah, you detect illusions immediately and succeed on the You detect illusions and immediately succeed on the saving throw against them.
Man, this Lich is a dick. So
Yeah.
it immediately it knows. It's not afraid of the dragon, and it knows it's an illusion. So you see it kind of just like completely ignoring it for the time being, but it turns and it looks directly to Diana. It doesn't appreciate this illusion, this dragon, this trickery. And you see it brings up one finger once again, points it in your direction, and almost makes like a...
Is this a spell?
It is.
Okay, reaction. Temporal shunt.
Those are words I don't know what they mean.
Yeah, so I target the triggering creature, which must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or vanish, being thrown to another point in time, causing the attack to miss or the spell to be wasted. At the start of its next turn, the target reappears where it was or in the closest unoccupied space. The target doesn't remember you casting the spell or being affected by it. Wisdom saving throw.
I failed, but I'm going to use my last legendary resistance. And the...
Counters. Can I counterspell it?
You can certainly give it a shot. What level are you counterspelling?
Ninth level. I'm
Boom!
counterspelling.
Alright, so that's very fucking good, because...
I think I knew exactly what that was, which is why I decided to do it.
Let's go, Vesper! Woo!
Boom! So, Vesper, I want you to tell me what this looks like as this Lich brings up this finger, like, makes like a bang motion, and as soon as Raylan tries to cast the spell, just puts up a hand, almost like just pushing it away. puts up a hand and just disregards whatever Raylan was casting, is not focused on you at all, and you see this sickly green energy begin shooting out towards Diana. What does it look like as you counterspell this?
Vesper is still like somewhat on the ground, so they sort of like pick themselves up a bit, and you just hear this very like dark, like deep, like it sounds very like just like angry, like as they just say no very lowly, and then they just like basically clap their hands, and you watch as that green energy is just sucked into like this black void.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you.
I love a counterspell is the best thing to ever fucking exist ever. I'm like the biggest fan of counterspell. Great. That is the Lich's turn. Diana, you're up. After almost being finger of death.
Right, after almost getting disintegrated. Okay. I have thoughts. I have ideas. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do next turn. This turn, I am going to action Mind Sliver, because it is not a concentration spell. So I'm still maintaining concentration on my dragon, but I'm also stabbing his mind. Just making sure. Yeah, it is not concentration. So intelligence saving throw, which it's something.
Pretty good bonus, but I am out of legendary resistances now. So, like, if I fail, it's a fail.
We'll see.
That's a 21.
Yeah, my DC's a 19.
So close.
Okay, well, I still get to do... Oh, wait, no. No, this is not a save or suck. It's just a save and be free. Okay, so that's my action. The cool thing about Illusory Dragon is all of the features of the dragon happen on your bonus action. You don't have to choose. You can move
Sweet.
it and use the cone. So I'm going to position the dragon again, but this time I want to see if I can catch the orb and the lich. And the goal, like, what is the orb? Is it just an orb sitting on the ground? Like, is there any kind of thing holding it?
No, there's no pedestal or anything. It's just floating, like, in the very center of the space.
I don't want to feed it, actually. I don't think I'm going to be able to destroy it. I don't want to feed it. So I'll actually reposition then the dragon so that it only hits the lich. And I'm going to have it unleash the fire breath again. I believe it's 7d6, but I just want to double check. Why did I put my dice away?
You're like, I'm done. My job here is done.
I really,
Goodbye.
like, I clocked out. Like, hello? Yeah, it's 7d6. So
That's a 19 on my dex save.
beats it, question mark? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that just succeeds. 33 points of fire damage.
Halved, though. Yeah, so, okay.
Yeah, halved. Okay, yeah. So that's Diana's turn. And now for Freyr, I'm going to do the same thing. The Shadow Blade throw and then recall for
Fantastic.
18 total points of psychic damage. Yes. And then bonus action, recall the blade.
The Lich is going to use a legendary action. And I am again going to roll a d4 to see which one of is targeting, Diana or Freyr.
Why is he obsessed with me? Leave me alone.
You keep casting shit at him and he's really upset about it.
Leave me alone.
I just stopped him from that big spell.
I'm literally being a menace.
All
just
of
a
you are
little
further
bird.
away.
I'm
are
5
right up
feet
here.
from the orb now.
I'm just
Yes,
a
you
little
are.
bird in a big world.
I'm oh god, I'm way closer now. That's
Yeah, you are. You should not be that close. None of us should be that close.
Why? Oh, here it is.
This is the stiff breeze we talked about. Like, it's happening.
Okay. So this is a melee spell attack. And it is towards Freyr.
Yeah, okay.
So,
What do I do anything, or is it happening?
nope, it's a spell attack roll. So I am walking up, and like the lich is pulling back these just gnarled fingers, and you see one finger is like longer than the rest, and it's like sharp. It's almost like this Freddy Krueger style dagger on the one finger itself. Makes a fist and then is jamming this just one finger towards the chest, directly towards the heart.
Hate that.
And that is a 29 to hit.
Oh God. Yeah. That will do it.
Okay, so Freyr is going to take 14 points of cold damage, and I need a Constitution saving throw.
14 points of cold damage. Okay. I have to keep track of his health separately now because we are no longer taking the same amount of damage at the same time. So hold on. You said a Constitution saving throw?
Yes.
We are good at that. Twin things. So he's
It's a
at...
20 thing.
You said 14 points of cold damage?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. And that is a... Where's... Oh, that's a 21.
That succeeds. For a moment, Freyr feels his body stopping. This paralyzing touch, almost taking him over, but not quite. And with that, that was the legendary action after your turn. So, Astra, you're up.
Alrighty. So, Astra knows that this is only going to half work, but that's fine. Everything's fine. Out of the components bag. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. It's fine. Out of the components bag comes a small hourglass filled with diamond dust. And she clasps it in her hand, and it puffs, and a whirling, almost a spectral hourglass crashes into the lich's chest. And I'm going to cast Time Ravage. And they have to make a con save of 18.
I loved the lip reading I just did with Kaz over there.
That was what is Time Ravage?
It's delicious. It's
So,
good.
Time Ravage, it's necrotic damage, so they're resistant. But on a failed save, they take 10d12, and the target ages to the point where it has only 30 days left. Now, again, Lich, less of a thing. But this is going to be a carry question. It is described as, in this aged state, the target has disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws, and its walking speed is halved. It can't age because it's a lich. Asterisk, in some of the descriptions of liches, they do age eventually. So anyway, that's the spell.
Does it deal damage at all?
Oh yeah, 10d12.
Okay. Roll that.
Oh yeah. I don't have that many d12, so I'm doing it digitally, but that's fine. Oh god, 62. That's fine, I guess.
That's still 31 points of damage.
It's still, yeah.
No, halved again because
Oh.
resistant.
So I rolled a natural 1 on the saving throw.
Yes.
So this is taking full damage
Fuck yeah.
because of my crit rule. Which in turn is enough to kill the lich. So, with this spell in particular, I want to know what this death looks like.
Oh. You all watch as the spectral hourglass trailing behind like a cloud of diamonds. The lich has just gone to attack Freyr, and he turns last second and it crashes into his chest. And there's a second where he doesn't quite realize what it is, but then he starts to fast forward age. He's already old looking, but the skin gets drier and drier and flakes off, and the skeletons and the bones, and he's just suddenly powder on the ground.
I think there's this moment too, as it's happening, you see a hand come up, like he's trying to cast things, he's trying to counterspell, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do this, but he's aging too fast for any of this to happen. And you see this moment of desperation as he's reaching out. He reaches over and he grabs onto like Elijah's shirt, kind of pulling him forward a little bit, and Elijah just grabs onto the hand, twists, and squeezes, and the hand turns to dust. And you watch as more of him is just turning to dust and dust and dust until there's nothing left, and it all scatters down onto the floor.
So that was my turn, or that was my action. Bonus action. Crown of Stars at the orb.
Fuck yes.
Let's see. That is a 29 to hit. I
Yeah.
can only assume.
Yep.
And then that is, that's 36 radiant damage. That's my turn.
That defeats the orb too.
Yes. Astra's just having a great time, you
So
guys.
there's this moment. I feel like after the lich like disintegrates, basically, you hear Astra walking into the room deliberately. This last, this ball of radiant light, then slinging towards this orb as you hear the vacuum starting. Like, you can feel a slight pull as it's about to happen again, and you see this radiant ball slam into the orb, and it almost like absorbs it for a moment. You hear the vacuum, like you hear the noise like sputter for a moment, and then there's like this weird moment of quiet as it almost seems to suck in on itself. And then where you think it's gonna explode, it does, but it explodes in this like light, radiant stardust almost, as it begins filling the whole room with just this radiant light kind of snowing down. And then all of you stand in an orbless room. The lich is dust on the floor, and you're all breathing rather heavily, and also there's a giant illusionary dragon.
To take care of the dragon. You would think something like this would just be dispelled and disappear, but it actually lumbers across the room through the space where the orb once was, and Diana looks genuinely terrified of it, as if for a moment she forgets that it is their own creation, and it just stands. It's huge. It is the size of a dragon, so it like looms over both the twins. And Freyr just clasps their shoulder, and the dragon like sinks into the ground, and the shadows it was made of disperse back across the room to their rightful places, as well as with Freyr's blade. And Diana just kind of sinks into her brother's shoulder.
I'm gonna look at Astra and just feel like, amazing work, as always. Thank you for finally getting rid of that.
You get 2 thumbs up from the twins.
Yeah, Raylan also will like give a weak thumbs up, and then using their staff, like scoot back, lean against the closest wall, and then just sink to the floor.
You hear, like, you see the fangs are still there with Elijah, but you see, like, wiping the muck off of the face, just says, "You could have done that sooner." And then you just see a little grin, like, just so, like, clarifying, like, hey, I'm making a joke. Most people don't know that about me, but I do make jokes. But you just see this just little grin, and then he just kind of slumps down against the wall as well.
Freyr pipes up like, "Do you think we could get him a deputy's badge?" And Diana kind of looks like maybe that could be arranged. And they both tilt their head the same way.
Do you think this is... was this it?
Well, he seemed to have some kind of dominion over it. But I'm gonna. Is there anything left where the ball was? Or of
No.
the lich from like anything he was holding?
I would say, just since how long have we even been playing? And this has been so fun, I don't even know. It's almost 6. Okay. So, like, I would say upon everyone kind of looking around this room, there's not much in here, probably because it was all sucked into the orb, but you do see, kind of what's left of, like, the lich's robes, in a sense. You'd probably be able to find some sort of tucked away notes. From what you can gather, this lich was here studying this thing. This thing wasn't quite known to the lich, at least not immediately. This lich, while you don't have a name here for who he was in life, his notes claim he used to work in Sloosvania. He used to be on the council.
Can I do a history check? Like, would I know any stories of like someone defecting to become a lich or something?
Can
Yeah,
I
go for it.
Can I?
Also.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, anyone who would like to, go for it.
I come from the libraries. I am a cloistered scholar. I have to
It was
know
a
who this guy is.
27 for Astra.
That's a 30.
Oh God, I'm not even 23. Let me just get out of here.
Okay. A 20 would be enough to tell you, as you're trying to gather like who this could be, no one in any of your lifetimes, no one that you have known or like heard of firsthand, we're talking a long ass time ago, a name kind of pops into your head. Laramaya Holmes. He was a very high esteemed member of the Sloosvania Council. He was the most powerful wizard. Until one day he left on some sort of an assignment and just never returned. Didn't report back, just vanished.
I have a question. Given what I saw in the orb, I mean, what did I not see in the orb? Can I put 2 and 2 together about how all of this happened? Like, are there any Scooby-Doo, Sherlock Holmes inferences I can make about, like... Yeah.
I think with how much time has passed, you've already forgotten exactly what you've seen.
Yeah.
But you do know, you feel this craving to see it again. And that right there tells you why he was still here.
That does track. Terrifying. Okay.
You all would see visually and essentially what is like neon, like I don't know how to explain this any other way, but like in Marvel movies where like they can just do the digital screens and they're just like little like hologram lights. So an arcane version of that will pop up in front of Raylan, and it is the conspiracy board. And she's gonna, like, they are gonna add some notes to it based on everything really quickly. And when you get back to the office, those changes will also be on the physical board. And once they're done, they will cut another slit in the fabric of reality, open up their little pocket dimension, and that hologram kind of board will just get like sucked back into it, and it stitches itself back up.
We get back. Astra chats with Elijah because she's super interested in like whatever his vampire deal is. because he was a sufficient fighter, and he's probably got a lot of cool stories because he's probably, if not as old as she is, then older. And we, perhaps the next day, the routine repeats itself. She brings the coffee, whatever. But instead of answering letters, or missives for future checks, she spends her day creating again the little hourglass that she makes, because she makes them herself. So like crafting the glass and then the gold and the powdering the dust and all of that. And it's a moment of stillness that you don't usually see with her, because she's very like big and like whatever, but like when she's doing this thing, it's just like hyper focused, creating this thing for her spell.
Yeah, I think a lot of the conversations between her and Elijah happened while that was being created as well. I don't think Elijah is allowed to leave Sleuthvania yet. I think the higher ups are like, well, hold on, he's a what? And there's like this, okay, he's under your care for the time being. So he's just kind of like chilling in your guys' room. And through conversation, you would learn he is far older than you. He is far older than most, and while he looks, I don't know, 21, 22, like his life ended very prematurely, but he does tell many different stories of many different lands he's been to and many different creatures he's fought.
I think if Elijah is staying with us, I think literally the night that they get back up from the airship, Vesper's like, okay, I only need 4 hours of sleep, but after that, I'm gonna gather all the books that we have about vampires, and I want to compare notes. So you tell me everything, and then we're gonna compare notes, and I'm gonna sit there and rewrite anything. Does that sound good? This seems great, right?
Sure.
Perfect. Good.
Sure.
Okay, great. Awesome. Glad to hear it. And I think that's what they spend the majority of the time on for the foreseeable future.
Diana and Freyr would definitely sit in on that.
I imagine Vesper says that to Elijah, and he maybe makes eye contact with Astra as Vesper is going off to like rest or whatever, and she's like, yeah, they're always like that. Good luck.
Raylan would go over to the absolute chaos that is Vesper's area, with that with that framed maple leaf, and we'll say, listen, you've got to protect yourself better. This leaf reminds me of you, actually, because leaves fall from the tree when they're dead, and that's like the necromancy thing. But then I used a time spell to make sure that it didn't decay any further. So anyway, I think you should have it as a reminder to be a little bit more careful. Out of character, this is Kristen begging Kaz's dice to roll better in the future, but
Perfect. And there are small things that you're noticing too. You know how like Diana handed you a tissue before you needed it? There are moments where Elijah does the same, because he can just read all of your guys' minds. So there are moments where you're like, where was the book that? And then like before you even say anything, the book is just handed to you and you're like, it's like the best library assistant ever.
We both point at the same time to where the book is, and then we look at each other like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
So Diana and Freyr are physically inseparable. So when we get back on the airship, there's this moment of like, in places Freyr has taken damage, and because of that, you're reminded that it's not a real creature. It's as a created double. And there are bits of ice and snow that are apparent, and Freyr's trying to kind of hold in those fissures and make sure they don't fall apart. And Diana's just wordlessly like shape water, like trying to pack in and repair that because we don't have healing spells and construct. And I think for the first few hours they are just in view but alone. And Diana looks very shaken. She looks kind of like very frightened and flighty, and Freyr's just sitting there with her almost a little empty. And they have a lot of hushed conversations, and then they start to kind of both perk back up and like classic twin things. You know, twins are totally different people, but because one of them is not real, they do mimic each other like a lot. And so they cheer up by the end of the voyage. We come back, and now there's just two of them. They are seated at their desk that they're sharing, and they're both goblin posing, reading books. And like that meme from Into the Spider-Verse, it's like Spider-Man and then Miles, like that's them. And I think Diana would also tell you about Freyr, because some of you may know that he exists, but none of you would really know who he was. Freyr was her twin brother that was killed in a dragon attack. And Diana does not know necromancy and was afraid it would disturb his eternal rest. And so she learned that spell to have a piece of him with her, but it's not really him. It's just her memories of him. So it's not a full person, but sometimes she can convince herself that it's really him. So the two of them just birds of a feather, but that's what inspired their characters. They just goblin pose, and eventually they will actually legitimately get a deputy badge made for Elijah, whatever that takes. Oh, and Freyr now wears Twiggy is sitting on Diana's head, and the little orb that Twiggy was wearing that Diana made, Freyr is wearing it now because it was his.
I think the next morning comes, and like I said, you are powerful people, so I think honestly that deputy's badge is probably delivered to your desk in the morning, along with some release papers for Elijah. Kind of basically the four of you signing off on the fact that Elijah is not dangerous, Elijah can be released, not a threat to the city, blah blah blah. So yeah, those papers arrive, but then like the deputy papers as well. Like, are we actually making him a member of Sleuthvania, like a member of the council? Is that what's going on here? So you've got paperwork on your desk, but as you all sit with probably Astra coming in late once again.
Obviously.
Yeah, with coffee, maybe a little bit of breakfast too. What does this morning look like?
I feel like all of us are kind of like, I assume, are like at our desks, but all anxiously awaiting to hear, because like I feel like it was sort of mentioned that like maybe Diana has seen something, and so we're sort of all just sitting there waiting, and it's like kind of like a couple, like maybe like 20 minutes or so of like people trying to do work, but like too anxious to like really not work. And then eventually like everybody's like heads like sort of turn towards Diana.
Diana is beak deep in notebooks. Like I think Diana is pulling a Vesper, like 2 hours of sleep, eyes wide open, furiously taking notes. And Freyr's like tag teaming, like pit stop, like dip your quill, give it back, like that kind of thing. But they look like they haven't slept. They're just a mess, and they have written down as much as they can remember about what they saw in the orb. So that's what they're doing, and you know that's what they're doing, and you just see all of the page flipping that's happening. Like it's interesting because there wasn't a lot that they do remember, but they're like really procedurally trying to connect all of the information. Murder board, but on paper. And then eventually they'll just slam the book shut in conversation.
Yeah, I think before the conversation too, as all of the writing is happening, there's like noticeable reactions from Elijah as certain things are thought. In like there are reactions where he doesn't seem to quite like grasp what you're thinking, but there are these like wide eyes looking over at you, and then these like confusion, fear, shock. Like you see all of these expressions that Diana's not showing on Elijah instead. Eventually he gets up and like tries to go to the other side of the room, like, okay, I can't, I need to be done with that. And you all hear the book shut and kind of look up at Diana.
Diana looks at Elijah gravely once. Like, I imagine, because also telepathic bond, we do that every morning, that there's like, we're aware of each other's mental presences. So like feeling that retreat from him, looks up kind of gravely, like, I wish I could do that. But will kind of just clear her throat, and then Freyr does the same, and then she just kind of puts a hand on his face, like, you don't need to do that. And she'll swivel in her chair, goblin style, like perched like a gargoyle, will still swivel in her chair to face everyone as best as she can. So, as you are all aware, I briefly entered the orb. Is there anyone else in this room besides us and Elijah? No? Okay, perfect. And we've established it's secure. Yes, okay. I'm paranoid about this. So Diana spends most of this explanation with her eyes closed or locked into her notebook as she thumbs through it to try and get through it. And Carrie, if I miss anything important, that just let me know. So first, when I entered the orb, immediately I was overwhelmed. This is not a place any consciousness should occupy. It was so much. It was so much. There are places the mind is not meant to go, that the mind is not meant to handle, and that is, as you all know, one of the foremost dangers of our work is suppressing the cravings of the mind. This realm, whatever it was, seated within me an intense desire to not only gaze upon it again, but to do whatever I needed to gaze upon it again, which would explain Laramaya. That was his name, right? Okay, cool. I thought I made up a word there for a second. All right, I don't remember everything I saw. I need to be clear about that. The moment I left the orb, I started to forget. And by the time we finished fighting, it was mostly just threads. I wrote down everything I could remember, and I could see multiple planes and connections to each other. Just, it was everything. It was the universe. I don't think this orb itself contained the universe necessarily, but it was more of a gateway, unintentionally so, to avoid the void, the primordial sense of the void that births everything. And it just, I understood how small and insignificant we were in the face of it. It was the kind of absolution that very few people get to witness, and very few should. Everything is connected in ways which we don't understand, magically and otherwise.
Raylan's at the board writing stuff down and just like wrapping red string everywhere. Especially after you say everything's connected, Raylan's like,
I think I understood what Carrie meant in this description that she gave me, but I don't know how much of it I'm supposed to say, because a lot of it was me making connections that Diana wouldn't make. So this is the best description I can give you in character.
That was absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
absolutely perfect.
Oh, I'm honored.
Did you get a sense if there are more of those spheres somewhere?
Did I?
You didn't get a sense that there is or isn't.
It's not necessarily the nature of it, I feel, so I'm not sure. I don't think they're individual objects. I think it's more of a gateway. I'm looking directly into the DM's eyes.
I think that is a viable conclusion for your character to come to.
Cool. Okay. Doesn't have to be right. It just has to make sense.
Do you still feel like you want to go find this orb again, or make it, or anything otherwise?
I don't know how
I
this
would
works.
say you know the orb is destroyed, so like you don't feel the urge to go find this orb and look through it or anything, but like if you could just remember what you saw, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of just that in there. If you could just find a way to remember.
This was a once in a million lifetimes kind of chance, and I can remember but a mote of it. And I'm not sure how much of the regret I'm feeling and the frustration I'm feeling is mine, or if I'm being influenced. But I could understand how it would drive one to madness were the orb still to exist. It's been cut off at the source, to put it that way. And I'll kind of show them notes, and it's a lot of multiverse parsing. A lot of it doesn't make sense because this is not Diana's field of study, nor is it really of our measures right now. None of us are really, I think, in that kind of field, but it's trying to formulate the idea of what a multiverse could look like, string theory, all of that stuff, in conjunction with what we already know about how time and space works.
Hey, Astra and I are kind of there a little, timey-wimey stuff. We're grasping at some straws.
This is Liz going, I don't know, bestie.
I think some of the notes are more in like very crude sketches, like just of like, I think I saw this for a second, but you don't remember it enough to draw details necessarily. I feel like for the players, you would see things that the players recognize, but that the characters would not. For example, a depiction of like a skyline, like of a city.
Like Chicago.
You would see this gold-framed mirror.
I think there is on one of the pages a drawing of a woman whose facial features are uncertain because Diana cannot remember them, but someone of a powerful stature who stands in front of almost like one of Raylan's rifts, as if this woman is striding out of it. And there's like the silhouette drawings of, you see where I'm going with this? There's the silhouette drawings of some very physically imposing characters, including one where you see off of this shaded in silhouette, like horns curling up off of the head. Like this scene of a memory interrupted.
I'm gonna look over to Elijah and say, well, it looks like you're gonna get your wish. Get your name in the history books for discovering something or helping us discover something. Do you want to look deeper?
He kind of looks down at this new badge that he's just been kind of like shuffling through between his fingers. Holds it up. I go where you go.
Raylan would go up to Elijah and be like, okay, just tell me what you are. Say it. I'd just like to hear from the horse's mouth.
So I would like to pretend that Twilight is a play that exists in this world. And I feel like there's a moment where Elijah has never looked so disgusted in his entire life, but then also is like, you know what? There's this resignation to him. And I feel like he, in a far more dramatic fashion than he needs to, turns his head to you and says, vampire.
And you will see the tiniest smile, but it's there. And then Raylan will walk away.
I think there's like that similarity between the two of you too. It's just like this tiniest little smile of like almost emotion. And then it's like, okay, we're going to go our separate ways now.
Yep.
Yeah.